You're watching Poindexter Lounge. You already know. You're watching Poindexter Lounge for the Unity.
What's up, nerd family? Welcome once again to the Poindexter Lounge. My name is Enosh, and it is so very good to have you with me in the lounge tonight. Yes, me with yet another hat on where I have fooled you once again because I have a full head of luxurious hair, curly hair that just is what it is, man. It just goes where it goes. And I thought it was really hilarious, all of you who tweeted at me this week and the last couple of days saying that you thought I was bald. I fooled you, apparently. That is one thing that I never thought that I'd be mistaken for. But yeah, I got plenty of this hair, and it's all mine. It's all mine. It ain't going nowhere. So there you go. Well, hey guys, if this is your first time to the lounge, you're probably wondering, what the heck is this guy talking about his hair for? Well, you know what? It's not what we usually talk about. We talk about things like TV shows, movies, games, sci-fi, fantasy, comic books, superheroes, toys, and so much more. And if those are things that you're into, if you understand what we say when we say, hey, this is a place for nerds, then please hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell and become part of this growing group of fans and nerds and people who love the things that you love, and that we talk about this all together. So there you go. All right. So do that today. Hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell, and we would love to have you with us. As Darth Vader said, we would be honored if you would join us. All right, guys. First of all, I want to say a quick shout out to all of the wonderful people who support the channel. Thank you to all of our members. You guys are fantastic. We appreciate each and every one of you, and we're so glad that you're here. Also, to all of our patrons, you guys are fantastic, and we are glad to have you as well. Thank you for all that you guys do, and thank you for being a part of this wonderful fandom. All right. That being said, today, yet another shocking, not so shocking, revelation from this time from Chris Terrio, the man himself. Somebody actually tweeted me today and said, like, why do we care what the guy who wrote Rise of Skywalker has to say? Probably because he's probably pissed off about that too, because he's probably got screwed over with that too, with Disney changing what he wanted, because we all know how that all went down. But hey, we're going to talk about this tonight. We're going to talk about the fact that, yes, this article came out today about Justice League writer Chris Terrio being very ticked off, and he finally spoke out. And so we're going to talk about that, but I am not alone. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the program. You love him. You love his opinions. You love his enthusiasm, because the man is full of quality and full of enthusiasm. But most of all, he doesn't just come alone. No, he brings a big, hefty bonus right along with him. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Firewater.
Because they're a bonus.
It's a bonus.
Bonus.
Yeah. Right. Bonus it is. Bonus. How you doing, Firewater?
I'm doing well. How are you today?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Look. For everyone, like, I appreciate your all's concern. You know how sometimes you just gotta vent. I've had a week. And so sometimes you just got to vet. I appreciate all the concern on Twitter. Trust me, everything's okay. I'm good. I got my smiling face here with you, and I'm smiling on the outside. No, I'm dying on the inside. It's all smoke and mirrors. Let's just be honest. Let's be honest. I did it.
Bonus spelled backward is Sutter. All right.
So, it is what it is. Unfortunately, we weren't able to do 2 cents on nonsense tonight. So, yeah, because my friend Johnny, he wasn't feeling well. So we're just glad to be coming tonight with this story anyways. So hello to everybody in the chat. I see that they've all got their bonuses. And so that's good. And so I appreciate the love for sure. I appreciate all of you. Like I heard that they were giving out bonuses.
I wish, man. I wish.
Black Ops is like, I heard about a bonus and I joined the stream right away. I heard they were giving them out. Nope, not here. Not here. No, we're fresh out of bonuses. WB took them all.
Oh my God. Is it me, or should they just sell DC to Netflix?
You know what?
Or not them. Like, I don't...
just anybody but them. Firewater, I used to say, no, we need to have a company like, Warner Brothers, a big company to be able to have these kind of properties and stuff. They'll get it right eventually. And I've kind of like lost that train of thought.
Are we reevaluating how we feel about that?
I am, man. I yes, absolutely reevaluating that. And it's like, I would have never thought that. I would have gone, yeah, give it to a smaller company that can just maybe do something with it and, figure it out. I would have never thought that, even a streaming company. But at this point, I'm kind of like, you know what? Maybe.
And there's no reason why Netflix can't do theatrical releases.
No, you're absolutely right.
They put out quality products all the time. I don't like all their content, but I mean, I watch, some of it is great, and, but and they're not afraid to spend money. I know they cancel shows like kind of after 3 or 4 seasons, but that's just because they're probably kicking out too many of them, but I love HBO. And like I said, they're definitely not afraid to spend money. But I just feel like, we discussed this. I feel like they're just defending failure, or at least Warner Media is, not so much HBO.
Yeah.
And to me, I just feel like, I don't know, that they're leaving a pile of cash on the table, billions of dollars.
Yes. Oh, and I agree. And, Firewater, I was very vocal, even just like at the end of last year when it was announced by Warner Brothers that, the whole theatrical versus streaming route, and I was very vocal about that. That's like, man, I want to go to the theater. I want to see movies in the theater. I don't want them to undermine.
I think we talked about that on Max's stream. I remember it's like, that would suck if theaters went away, and
yeah. And so I'm very much about that. But like when it comes to this, when I look at, okay, what's the alternative, right? If I'm not going to be able to ever see anything in this universe again, give it to me on streaming, baby. I'll take it on streaming all day long, because I just, there's a difference when it's like either or, right? And it's like there's a difference when you're just like, you're not going to get this at all. And I just don't think Warner Brothers is going to, as far as Warner Brothers Pictures, they're just not going to, they don't want to bend the knee. They're going to fight this tooth and nail. But the idea that that HBO Max can't afford to finance something like this, when I hear people talking about that, I think that they're missing the big picture, because I mean, Disney is raking in tons of cash with Disney Plus. Tons of cash.
Well, they have 105 million subscribers at like $8 a month.
Yeah, they're making more money actually do it. Like I can't remember what the exact number was right now, but I had it a couple of months ago where we were talking about it. Like they made almost 2/3 of what their entire company made like 2 years previous, just in that last year. And all they really had, I mean, yes, they had, a lot of the cartoon movies and the old Disney films and stuff like that, and they were starting to add some kids programming. But I mean, as far as like streaming stuff that like people were going back for, all they had was The Mandalorian for that first year and a half.
Yeah, Mandalorian and Hamilton.
Yeah, well,
a little bit later on, but you're right for the most part. Yes, and all the old stuff. They I think they had like a 3-hour promo video of all the things they were going to have on Disney Plus or whatever.
Yep.
I don't know how much of all that was watched. I watched The Mandalorian, loved it, thought it was great, and I watched Hamilton probably about 20 times. Think that's great as well. And I pay for the year, so I got in before the price hikes. So I'm feeling good about that. But they, so much for canceled Disney Plus. I think the inverse happened. It's amazing how those fake boycotts work.
Oh my gosh! You mean you can't just put a hashtag together and it just happens?
No, I thought you could. I don't know.
Oh well, yeah. Disappointing. Well, they probably spent their whole bonus trying to get that worked out. So
yeah, they didn't get a bonus.
They didn't get a bonus. But you know who gave us a bonus is TTC Sniping with $1.99 super chat. Thank you, sir. Says Terrio did to Warner Brother what Rambo did with his 50 cal.
I didn't sneak it in there.
Bonus.
Subtle bonus.
Yes, yes.
Stealth bonus. You never know when it's coming. Oh, yeah. I feel like I'm trying to do Otto from The Simpsons combined with I had this the other day. I was thinking about it. It's like, what is my voice like? I'm definitely I love Otto from Simpsons.
Oh yeah.
And a little bit of Duffman, and then another character from somewhere else. Maybe someone from the chat can help me out who it sounds like. But I like Bill. No, wait, what? Bill from Bill and Ted. That's like a combination effect. They like if they pour it into a glass and stir it around, see what happens.
Yes. First of all, God, let us say congratulations on Earth. Not to mention all your other wonderful planets like Neptune, Mars, Uranus.
They gotta get the legatos and the taps going.
Exactly. I like that. I like that you know that stuff, man. That's cool.
I've been playing guitar since I was 13.
Dude, that's awesome, man.
Yeah,
that's
I got
awesome.
my Paul Reed Smith next to me and an Epiphone Les Paul. And I just bought a Fender acoustic.
Oh, nice. You got a Paul Reed Smith, man. That heck yeah. That's
not an American one, not an American full custom, but it's beautiful. It's flame red. I'm looking at it right now. So technically, it's a custom SE, so it's their, it's like one of their more entry level. I put pickups. I put DiMarzio deactivators in them. I figure they're good enough for John 5. They're good enough for me.
There you go.
That guy's legit, dude. That guy, my man with like 30,000 tattoos, plays like mad country riffs, dude. And I can't stop. Like, he's something else, dude. Like, I know he did Marilyn Manson and all that, but he is, that's legit, man. He's legit. But yeah, no, I love playing guitar. Yeah,
Tiffany here, Tiff Tasky says you sound like the guy from the Peanut Butter Cups commercials.
Oh yeah. I got to throw a little bit more, not so much rap, but like like kind of like more like that, right? I can throw a little bit more bass into it. I don't even know if that's the right term, but
heck yeah. Well, before we jump into this article, Donatella here says, Green Lantern Corps show on HBO Max apparently cost $100 million plus, so it's possible.
That's cheap.
I mean, is that, like, I don't know.
Let's get it going.
Like, how many seasons is that? Is that like I don't know what that doesn't seem like.
How much were they spending on per episode on Game of Thrones?
Oh gosh.
Tyrion alone was getting, was he getting either 800K or 1.2 mil an ep? And how many speaking characters, how many characters with voice role, like, you know what I'm saying, with names and actual plot importance, that they all get paid too. And the sets, good lord, music, everything.
Heck yeah, man. So it's like, look, if they could afford to give Zach, anywhere, it's been estimated between $70 to $100 million to finish the Snyder Cut for a series, that they're going to see returns on. That's why I've been telling everybody, like, look, I get it. There's frustration. It seems like, we don't think that we're going to get any, we've been told this, right? That we're not going to get any more, whatever. And people are, going, I'm going to cancel my subscription. Here's the reality. I was talking to somebody actually who deals with the data for some of this stuff. And they were explaining to me, like, people don't understand how that data is processed and how it's gathered, So like, they don't just look at, did you watch Zack Snyder's Justice League, but what else did you watch? Right. So
that's it. Damn it. No, I'm just kidding.
Right. That's it. That's all I watched. I just put it on repeat and just watched it. But no. So if they see that you're a customer who, like, you watched Zack Snyder's Justice League, say on the day that it came out, or like right away. Right. So they know you're there for that content, but then they see that you're engaging with other content. Then they recognize you're a legitimate customer, right? You're actually engaging with content on their platform. And so that's how they judge whether or not, yes, it has to do with, watch Zack Snyder's Justice League, but like you could just put it on a million times and they're just going to say, okay, well, that's all you're watching, right. like something's fishy about that. Right. But if they see that, like, you're trying to engage in other things, you're watching other movies, you're watching other series and shows and things like that, they see, hey, this is a legit customer. We want to keep this customer happy.
Maybe watching some other DC content, perhaps.
Yes.
On HBO Max, because they have an absolute ton of it.
Oh yeah, man. They got great content, and they got more great content like that coming up even, with like some of the shows that, I mean, like I really love Titans, and they got more Titans coming, they got more Harley Quinn the cartoon coming, and and so yeah, man, it just, so engage with the content and show them this. And I tell you what, I've talked with people, and the consensus is, look, it's a matter of time. Like, I think sometimes we want all the announcements right now, right? But they got to work this stuff out. Like, of course they got nothing in the works right now because it's all fresh, man. Like, they got to process that stuff.
Absolutely. And I think part of the challenge too, now there's like an assault against management.
Yeah.
So you have Ray Fisher dropping, and I don't even think he's done yet. I don't know. I didn't talk to. I mean, I know you've spoken to. I don't know, and he might not be able to reveal his entire hand yet. I think that he's probably seeing how they react to news being released, and then you kind of. He's a smart man, so I'm assuming you don't want to show all your cards at once. Now you got Chris Terrio saying that, like, Zach's a nice guy and he's a class act, but I'm not. I'm just gonna unload. And he said it was vandalism, I think was the word. The 2017 Justice League or whatever. I don't even know what you call that. The not Justice League.
The Justice League.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, first of all, can I just say, like, I don't know, Firewater, if you've watched any of my Mark Uno content.
I can't say that I have, sir.
Oh, okay. Well, I have a blast with that. And one of the things that I noticed early on is that, like, Mike Zeroh, for the longest time, before he became evil Mike Zeroh, where like he kind of like joined the fandom menace and he hated Kathleen Kennedy and he kind of went down that route, right. Which was last year. He was constantly like, because Chris Terrio, wrote a couple Star Wars movies. So, so he was right in the thick of the sequels. And so he kept talking about Chris Terrio. Everything was Chris Terrio this, Chris Terrio that. So I think it's really funny because a lot of my Mark Uno videos, like I go off on a lot of people as Mark Uno, as the character. And then I'll say something snarky about Chris Terrio. And then like in character, I'll just be like, I can't. I retracted. I can't talk bad about Chris Terrio. I love Chris Terrio too much. Like I even put like Chris Terrio's face on a baby Yoda, and like the Mandalorian is holding up baby Yoda, but it's Chris Terrio's face because he's like the chosen one and stuff. So it's fun. I've had fun. Yes, Black Ops. It might be Mike Zeroh's cousin or just like a completely different character. That just kind of makes fun of that. But yeah, so this came out today, man. And I'll tell you what, dropping one thing after another. Chris Terrio, speaking of Chris Terrio, he was not holding back with this article. I mean, it even says that right off the bat. It says Chris Terrio is not pulling his punches anymore. For 5 years, the Oscar-winning screenwriter of Argo kept his mouth shut about his work on the DC films Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, and Justice League. Even his scorn from critics and fans exasperated already painful behind-the-scenes memories. Worst of all, he agreed with many of their complaints. He described the films that Warner Brothers released in theaters in 2016 and 2017 as incoherent misfires.
Oh, God, that's not good.
Oh, that's so great.
That's a rip.
He
didn't get his bonus. He's super pissed.
I'd be pissed too. Just all those Warner Brothers executives getting the bonus on that crap. Undermined by corporate meddling, poor franchise planning, and tone-deaf decisions that prioritize costly VFX sequences over coherent storytelling. Terrio believes that Zack Snyder's director's cuts of both are much stronger, and they are. Let's be honest, right? People who have hated on Batman v Superman for years, it's like the first thing you ask them, well, did you see the Ultimate Edition? Well, I don't know. I saw it at the theater. Well, there you go.
I liked it in the theater, although it was disjointed. I will say that. But I was like, still one of my favorite action scenes all time is the Batman going to the warehouse to save Superman's mom.
Oh yeah,
that's just so cool. He threw a guy through a wall. You know, I love how they unload their guns, and it's like, okay, well, that didn't work. Let's pull the knives out now. Let's go.
Right? Yes.
Let's go. And then Batman he splits some guy's skull open with a box. There's a Bam Margera lookalike with an automatic weapon pointing it at. I don't know. It was a crazy scene. I love the way Zach does action. Actually, I'm a fan of his action scenes and whatnot. So I rewatch that occasionally. I love it. I think it's great. You know, maybe HBO Max is because I don't do it. I have it on Apple TV, but I rewatch it on HBO Max. Maybe they're tracking that to see.
Yeah. Well, you know,
nice.
I agree with you, Firewater. Like that was something that when I saw Batman v Superman, I got it. Right. Like I understood the motivation because I'm the target. Right. So I think that they took it for granted that there'd be more people like me and others who just were like, okay, I get it. You know, like I'm not going to look too deep into it because I understand it. Right. But then the average person who went and you take a half hour out and it's all disjointed and stuff. And that's what you're going to get. You're going to get people who get frustrated because it didn't make coherent sense to them. And, you know, they needed that story fleshed out to be able to understand.
They needed the extra 30 minutes, which did make a difference. It makes a legitimate difference.
Sean C here with a $10 super chat. Thank you, Sean. Appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. Says, hey, Enosh, are you as irritated as I am with how quick people ran to the defense of $1 billion movie studio after the Fisher-Terrio interviews? What is wrong with these people? I'll tell you what's wrong with them. I don't know what the heck they're talking about. Like there's these people who the studio has to be right. The studio can't be wrong. Like the person trying to tell you, look, the studio screwed this up. Obviously, we're seeing this over and over again. It's behavior that has been repeated, right? And we've seen that, especially with Zack Snyder. It's like I don't know what people wanted more like out of Zach. I mean, Zach has done everything that he possibly can, and the studio just kept screwing him over, you know, and you write something, you put it together, you try to edit it, down to what they want, and they're still not happy. And then they get involved and screw the whole thing up. And so, and not just one movie, but a couple of movies of his. And now here we had to wait, 4 hours later, 4 hours, 4 years later. I wish it was 4 hours, go to see that. And you're like, no, give me the other one. Give me the other one. I spent 2 hours on this one. I'll take the 4 hour one. Thank you. But it's unfortunate. It really is. So yeah.
You know, what's funny? Like the studio executives are exact like photo negatives of the Justice League. Like they do everything wrong. Like, yes. You know what I'm saying? Like they hung Chris Terrio out to dry while they were collecting their bonuses. You know, from and they'll burn talent, they'll burn anyone that's below them, and that's what poor leaders do.
Yes,
that's what poor leaders do, and I get it. They're not exactly, they're studio executives. They're not. It's not exactly the most noble position. It pays well, I'm sure, but in terms of nobility and wanting to inspire, I don't think that's really why they signed up for the job. But at the same time, it's like, look, man. How much of the same stuff are people going to buy? When are the shareholders of AT&T going to realize, like, yo, there is a ton of cash being left on the table, and we don't have a good reason why?
Yeah, just
we're protecting people that are replaceable. I don't understand.
Yeah, and upholding movies that are horrible. That are just, I mean, to uphold the Justice League movie and say, well, this is our canon. This is what we want everything.
No, they're going to issue a retraction on that. There's no way that could stick. I'm sorry. Can't do it. Can't do it. Sorry. No bonus for them, no mo.
No, we're going to take the bonus back.
Yeah, we're going to take the bonus back. Refunded bonus.
Refund the bonus. We're going to tax the bonus. We're just give it all back. That's great. But yeah, so it says in an exclusive wide-ranging interview, the screenwriter said that hashtag Snyder Cut of Justice League, recently released as a 4 hour plus event on HBO Max, righted a kind of cinematic wrong perpetrated by studio leadership that has now almost entirely moved on from Warner Brothers. The 2007, this is his quote, The 2017 theatrical cut was an act of vandalism, Terrio said. Zach may be too much of a gentleman, which, by the way, he is, to say that, but I'm not. There you go.
You know what? And they're playing it intelligently because Zach right now can't really, in my opinion, I mean, he can do whatever he wants. I think he's a smart man. I think he's like, you know what? I'm going to sit back, and Ray's got his thing going on. Ray and him have a great relationship. And I'm sure maybe he doesn't want to say anything that might derail that. So kind of he's got his thing. And then you got Chris Terrio coming in. It's like, Zach's my dude. He's a gentleman, but I'm not. And he took it for 5 years. I think that's enough. And, you know, I just feel like I don't think it's necessary. I just wish they could. In a perfect world, I wish this, you know, the CEO of AT&T can go to these people. It's like, look, if I guarantee that none of these executives at Warner Media will lose their jobs, would you be then willing to admit that you got it wrong with Justice League and Batman vs. Superman? And I promise you will keep your jobs. I'm curious what their answers would be.
That's interesting. That's
a fun question, right?
That is, yeah. I haven't heard anybody actually pose that question.
If we don't have to defend failure anymore, or actually, well, no, that's kind of presupposing the point. Would they agree that maybe it wasn't a failure? Well, it was kind of a box office, but yeah. Let's all right, fine. But just so we could be nice, would you agree that Zack Snyder's version was the superior version, based on your own opinions watching it and based off fan receptions? And can we just kind of maybe give Zack his next 2 films and square things off with Ray?
Yeah.
You know, because I don't think Ray's necessarily out for blood. I don't know him. No. You know him better than me. I do think that he wants an apology or some sort of accountability acknowledgement, like, hey, you know, what happened here was wrong. You know, it didn't, you know, and I give him all the credit in the world for speaking out, because usually, like, you know, like the one gentleman who sat down with him at dinner basically said, like, yeah, usually, I'm paraphrasing, of course, but it's like, yeah, usually the people speak out, you know, pretty much I don't got to worry about having these dinners no more with them. They get no more bonus.
No more bonus. Bonus is garnished, says Jolly here.
Garnished, that's a fun word. But no, I mean, like, square things off with Ray. And I'm sure that could be done. That could probably be done in an hour with the meeting of the people.
Yes.
You know, have Ray's camp and the studio. Everyone sits down. There's no reason why they can't work this out. And I think Ray would say this. I mean, I can't speak for him, but I'm pretty sure he's saying that, you know, they would say the same thing. Because you put somebody else in, let's say you recast Cyborg. I'm like, nah, I can't do it. Like, you know, that's Ray's character. You know, so, and you got to get the original cast, which I'm pretty sure they would be on board. But I don't know, man. I wondered if they could just have like a private meeting like that and just be like, look, no one's going to lose their jobs. Just be honest. Could we have done better on the theatrical release? Could we have given Zach some time to handle his family affairs? You know, and then, okay, we can't go back in time, but we can kind of course correct for the future. Just because we're going down the wrong path now doesn't mean we need to continue to go down that wrong path. We can do an about face, and it would go over great with the fans, in my opinion. I mean, they're like,
I do too. Like, and that's the thing. And that actually kind of goes along with this super chat here from TTC Sniping with a $4.99 super chat. Thank you, appreciate that. It says if WB gave Zach as much power as they gave Nolan, and I would even say as much as they gave James Gunn with the latest Suicide Squad movie, where basically they gave him no restrictions. They literally told him that he could kill off anybody he wanted, including Harley Quinn. Yeah.
You know what? I in all honesty, I feel like sometimes with franchises, things can be predictable. And that's why I liked early Game of Thrones. Oh, yeah, Sean Bean, he's a big actor.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, well, he ain't here no more. He got executed. And, oh, you like Rob Stark and his mom. And, well, that's going to be a rough one, that Red Wedding. Ooh.
And I get that, but it's like when you're looking at, you know, a character like Harley Quinn that they've invested a lot in. right?
That's true.
And is somebody that, like, even though it's arguable, people have argued about whether or not she's been in good films, like pretty much people really like Margot Robbie, you know, and they've enjoyed her, even if they haven't necessarily enjoyed the films that she's been in. So, like, to say, you know what, man, even if you want to kill her off. Now, I was very happy to hear that he said, you know, like, one of his most anticipated thing was, you know, working and writing for and directing, you know, the character of Harley Quinn. That made me feel a little bit better, you know, but who knows, right? I mean, like, who knows what that means? But yeah, but that was my point here, is, you know, it's like, if WB gave Zack as much power as they gave those guys, then we would not be in this predicament, you know. And this is hashtag fire Warner Brothers, start over and put Kevin Smith in charge.
Well, I guess my question is this. I don't know what it's like to run a studio, but
yeah,
when I hire people to do stuff at my house, right? You know, we just had an organizer come in and did my wife's closet and our pantry. It's so much better. We paid a considerable amount. But my thing was, I hired you because I believe that you can do this work. I'm going to tell you generally what I want.
Yep.
And then you're going to make it happen. And we let them, it took 2 full days worth of work to do our pantry and my wife's dresser and she has a pretty big walk-in closet. So it took, and we let them just kind of check in on them. You know, hey, how you doing? Oh, okay, great. Looking great so far. I'm going back to work. I don't have time to sit around and babysit all day. But the point is, that's
the point. Yeah.
Yeah. The point is that if you're going to hire someone, let them do the job. Or if you don't feel like Zack Snyder was the fit, then get somebody else. Not Joss Whedon, of course, he's terrible. But I mean, like, you know, it's if you brought him in.
I'm just imagining Joss Whedon coming in, like, working on your closet there.
Oh, I have to.
Do you have anybody here in the? Is there a part of the closet that maybe I can fondle?
Oh my God.
No,
get the F out of my house, man. You're done. That's
no. Okay. Is there any part of the closet that I can put down and yell and scream at and, like, tell to sit down and shut up and you know, do what I say? When I say shut this sliding door, I mean shut this sliding door.
I don't know. It just seems to me, if you're going to hire someone to do a job, then you obviously interviewed them. It's not like, all right, Zack Snyder, you did 300. Okay, cool, you're in. You know, he probably had story. I'm assuming he had to present. You know, you gotta pitch, like, hey, this is why I'm the best person for the job.
Yes.
And okay, you're on. It's like, well, you're on, but we're gonna send these executives down, and they're like, oh, all that cool stuff you want to do. Well, no, can't do it.
No, none of that stuff.
Can't do it. Well, it's really good and it's really important to show. Yeah. But you know what's really important? Runtime for that bonus.
Yes.
You know, we need that runtime down. You know, let's just make the movie 20 minutes. We'll play it at 4x speed. Do you know how many times you could get it in and on the theaters? You know, people are on their phones half the time in the movies anyway. So they just pay, download the stuff into their brain and then move along. Like, get that. I don't know, dude.
Now, we in all fairness, we want to point out the fact that the studio did not provide any comment on his remarks when he said that Zack may be too much of a gentleman, but I am not, that it was an act of vandalism. This is Terrio first joined the DC universe to rewrite an existing Batman v Superman script because its Batman actor, the director of Argo, had qualms about the project. I think the studio brought me in to appease Ben Affleck because they thought, okay, well, we have this movie star who's reluctant about doing this, so why don't we bring in his guy, Terrio said. The screenwriter was frank about trying to make sense of the film's warring heroes, turning their fight into a metaphor for a divided America while attempting to fix elements he too found nonsensical or offensive. Studio officials then demanded that 30 minutes be removed from the theatrical cut, most likely because shorter run times mean more daily screenings. Yeah, more people in there. Yeah, more butts in the seats. Yeah. Often resulting, more dowel rods, in your closet, often resulting in higher box office earnings. Terrio said that act sabotaged the narrative. If you took 30 minutes out of Argo, as they were from Batman v Superman, it would make zero sense at all. Critics would say, what a lazy screenplay, because the characters don't have motivations and it's not coherent, Terrio said. And I would agree with them. Even the title of Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice was a disaster, he said. That primed audiences to roll their eyes at the film well before its release. Terrio hoped Justice League would be a better experience. He was very wrong.
Poor Chris Terrio, man.
I know.
Can't get you a break.
Chris, if you're watching, man, I'm sorry. I
really liked your writing in the Snyder cut. I thought it was great.
Absolutely, man. I am so sorry. Like I feel bad for Zach and Chris and just everybody involved in these movies, because it just seems like the studio just like fell all over themselves to try to screw it up in one way or another, and just could not get it right. Just the meddling. I guess they were concerned about too much about the financing. Like maybe if Batman vs Superman did $1 billion in the box office, despite not being the 3-hour cut, would that have made a difference if they cracked that magical billion? I don't know. You know who we should ask? You know who we should ask? A guy who is really nerdy. This guy right here, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Nerdy in Many Ways, Dawson.
Hello.
Dawson, what do you think? Do you think that that they were deserving of their bonus? Do you think that?
I'm gonna go ahead and say no.
Okay.
Nonus.
All
right. Pretty bonus.
Antithesis of bonus is nonus. Oh yeah.
Now I just have the
Dawson.
Now I just have Wayne's World in my head. But all right, party bonus. All right.
Bonus.
Bonus.
We're not worthy.
Andy Bucko with 5.
I believe that's a euro.
That's a euro. Yes.
Yeah.
€5.49. I don't know how you pronounce the 49 part, but so 5.49 euro. Thank you, Andy. Thank you. I just know that I think it's worth more than our money. So good on you. You and the pounds, just thank you guys. Keeping us in check here in the United States. Every time we look at Canada and we're like, but our money's better. There's good old Europe and the UK going, not so fast there, guys. Says business guys will never apologize for decisions they made in the past. Only the directors and actors take the punches for literally everything.
Yeah, and I think Chris Terrio does a great job of addressing that in this interview.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, and he's pissed. They even say it. He's pissed.
The title's perfect.
Yes. Oh, it's perfect. So great. It's so great. It's saying what we've thought for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But it says Terrio had hoped that Justice League would have been a better experience. He was very wrong. After watching Joss Whedon's version of that film, Terrio was so disgusted that he explored taking his name off the movie.
Yeah.
But there could be a bonus in it for you, Chris. I don't care.
I will surrender my bonus because this is Garbo.
Take it. Take my bonus, please. Take it. Especially galling to him was the sidelining. Oh, imagine this, of Ray Fisher's tragic hero, Cyborg, whose arc the actor himself had helped craft. So it's almost like I don't know, like he's adding validity to what maybe a certain Ray Fisher has been saying all along.
Nah,
absolutely.
Nah. No, I'm being facetious. But no, I don't know, man. There's too many coincidences. There's too many mystical coincidences going on here for them not to be. It's sort of like at some point, when does correlation turn into causation?
Right.
I don't know. Here's Chris Terrio trying to get his name off this movie.
Oh man, that hurt.
That's the studio after we requested that. They're like,
Exactly. Here's his indication right here, though.
Wait, what the hell? Oh, that's better. I thought I had shit on my screen for a second.
oh
Oh, I never saw that.
I love
Oh, you
that.
haven't seen that one? Yeah, I love that.
Give that man a bonus.
Give him
Mr.
a bonus.
TikTok.
Yes, Mr. TikTok that's his name. Mr.
Yeah, I know. I just called him that. I couldn't read it. It went
Hey
off.
man, hey man, you got any more bonuses?
Hey man, I got the cheeseburger man.
Oh,
Jim
man.
Brewer.
All right. So I man, Chris Terrio, man, just standing up for Ray Fisher. Fisher has been outspoken for months. Obviously, it kind of goes over that about the experience making Justice League following years of silence. Now Terrio is doing the same. He said he bottled up his feelings about the theatrical cuts to avoid hurting their casts and crews. Now, because look, that happens sometimes. Like you get in a position where, you're between a rock and a hard place, really. And I feel like that's where a lot of these people end up. It's like Zach, for example, just saying, like Zach, with Chris saying Zach is a gentleman. He won't say it, but I will, you know, and it's like, how many people have taken advantage of Zach, have put Zach in weird positions, have attacked Zach, have called Zach out, and Ray Fisher too, saying like, Ray Fisher, come on our stream, answer for what you're saying. And it's like, you're missing the point here. Let things play out, but here Chris is just like, no, man. He's like, he said he bottled up his feelings about the theatrical cuts to avoid hurting their cast and crews. Now that Snyder and Terrio's preferred versions of the films are available to the public, the screenwriter is finally opening up about how it all went wrong in the first place. Chris Terrio, I am so happy and relieved that all these thousands of artists, and now mind you, he's saying this as a writer who still has to work.
Yeah.
That's always something to keep in mind with this. Chris Terrio is still going to have to get work again at some point. Like Zack Snyder's Justice League is not going to pay the bills forever,
Residuals.
Residuals. Oh yes. Always with the residuals. I mean, that, of course you got to have the residuals, but he's going to have to get work at another point, but like this means enough to him to come forward with this.
Well, it depends on how one would phrase it. If he got blasted like they said he did, he needs to come out and be like, yo, Snyder Cut, did you see that? Yeah, I wrote that too.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I did too. So I don't blame it. Like he has to go on. You're right. Normally it's kind of like you have to be careful, but in this instance, because it's so unique, I think him going on offense towards the studio, even if that means you don't work for that studio again, because other studios have seen probably both versions. And I got to imagine experts in film and acting are probably like, let's go with the Joss Whedon version. No, I'm just kidding. No, of course not. They're going with Zack Snyder. And of course, it's not a perfect movie. It's a great movie. It's one of the best superhero films I've ever seen. And it's no movie's perfect. And that's why, and I'm sure even Zach would be the first to admit that. But he's gotta fire back. You gotta return fire here a little bit, because the narrative is that Chris Terrio is a garbage writer, and I don't believe that.
Right.
But that's why he has to come out and say like, look, hey, you think I'm a garbage writer? Yo, how about that Snyder Cut dough? Yeah, I like that. Okay.
Like that made me though.
Yeah.
That'd be me. That'd be me right over here.
Yeah. I do.
But he's relieved that thousands of artists and craftspeople all over the world finally can have their work seen by the public, and all the work that Zach and the actors put into this can now be seen. It's sort of a gift that we got from HBO Max, because it wouldn't have been possible a few years ago. And then they asked him, can you point at something specific that you are glad gets a showcase in the new version? And he says, Willem Dafoe's performance in the Aquaman story. Like that kind of, I don't know, it kind of surprised me a little bit, like that he led with that, but it's interesting, because then he says, obviously the character Iris West, played by Kirstie Clemens in the Flash rescue sequence, and most centrally Ray Fisher's performance as Cyborg. You know that guy.
That's kind of
isn't he your account?
Cyborg? That was the one that in the Justice League. That wasn't Cyborg. It was Cyborg.
Some weird like village or town in some sitcom.
I feel like that's the Justice League's accountant, Cyborg. Anyways, bad joke. It was always the heart of the film to me, and just meant so much to me personally because so much of my heart and life were put into that story. That is the thing about this version of Justice League, that none of it was done cynically or as a money grab or an attempt to sell Happy Meal toys. It really was personal for me and for Zach and for many of the actors. I love that. As a guy who grew up loving, a good Happy Meal toy. Don't get me wrong. I still.
Well, that was back when Happy Meal toys were actually good. Like,
true.
Like for example, when Small Soldiers came out with Tommy Lee Jones voicing Major Chip Hazard, they had some dang good toys. I had one of those Happy Meal toys for years because it was a good toy. They don't do that anymore. Like literally, I was watching a video before I came on here, and it was someone testing out, those Justice League toys where like you press their belt and they like says something. It's like super cheesy.
Gosh,
literally, this guy, he had an Aquaman toy. They put the wrong voice chip in. It played Batman's voice.
Dawson,
if that doesn't clarify how things are run at Warner Brothers, I don't know what is.
Well, Dawson, you and I were together. Metaphor. You and I were together when we saw the exact kind of action figure that you were talking about there.
The Steppenwolf one, yeah.
The Steppenwolf one. He's like, "I'll get you, Justice League." Like,
it's the Justice League.
Yeah, like, I remember that part of the movie. I guess. Like, I want a Steppenwolf figure that says, "Is that you, Mr. Cyborg?"
Mr. Cyborg.
Or I need to do one of the Cloverfield drops where it's just like, Cyborg.
Yes, that needs to happen.
Yeah, it's just so crazy. Then they asked him,
the glass Batman Forever coffee cups. I know exactly what he's talking. I had the Robin one. The Robin one was a little bit taller and thinner. Right? If I remember that correctly.
I had the Riddler one.
I had the Batman. I had Batman and Robin. I had those.
Fine Crystal.
I know exactly what he's talking about.
Fine Crystal. That was Fine Crystal.
All right.
Sorry, I just had to point that out.
No. I had those too. Like we had those too.
Yes.
Dope.
Says, how did you feel about the version that Joss Whedon assembled after Zach left the project?
Ooh.
Can I just say, shout out, first of all, who wrote this article? Because I just got to.
They get a bonus.
Yes, they get about Anthony Bresnikan or Bresnikan.
Yeah, we could round up on that. That's close.
Yeah, let's do that. Okay. Let's just round up. Let's say Anthony. Yes. Thank you so much, Anthony, for this, because you're asking the hard questions that needed to be asked. Yeah. And great question here.
You got an interview with someone who hadn't said a single thing about this, and now it's enlightening for a lot of people. Just now before I got on the show, I saw another video of someone who was talking about the situation. And they talk about how there seems to be no end to drama when it comes to this movie, but it's good these things are coming to light. It's like, yeah, it's true.
Yeah. No, I hear you, man, and I'm just glad for it. But he's, so how did you feel, Chris, about Joss Whedon's the Joss Whedon assembled film after Zach left the project? He said, when those personal touches were removed from the film in the 2017 version, I was silent because I couldn't really say anything. But of course, it hurt. All that remained was a dinosaur skeleton of what had been a great lumbering beast.
Oh my God.
It's a great way to put it.
Oh,
he's a really good writer,
right? Is it any wonder that he's a writer? He says it might have been a big unruly beast, and obviously it's 4 hours, and the movie is maximalist, and it's operatic, and sure, it's a little crazy, but I think the movie is crazy in the best way.
Agreed, Chris Terrio.
I'll take it.
What a man. What a man with his words, man. Oh my gosh.
His words and his reading and his writing.
Oh my gosh. I reading that, I'm just like, dude, yes, go get him. Go get him, man. It's like I'll be your Mary Jane, Mr. Spider-Man, and Chris Terrio. Go get him, Tiger.
It's a situation, and I've said this about the last 4 different articles that have come out about the situation. If you're out there and you don't believe that something messed up went down on the set of Justice League, I don't know what to tell you.
Oh, right.
Everyone is singing the same song.
Yes.
And it appears that the stories are airtight because they all have a reasonable degree of consistency from different perspectives.
Exactly. Exactly.
Heck yeah.
Hey, yo, Pudgy, can I get an hour?
Here.
Okay.
Here.
Ow, ow.
I agree. I don't know. It was just a funny thing that Kermit said in that one. You never know.
Fair enough.
Yeah, there you go. So then they ask, can we start at the beginning with Zach? You worked on Batman v Superman. Can I assume that was a good experience, at least with him, since you signed on to another movie? First of all, everybody who's ever asked about Zach, except for apparently studio executives, has amazing things to say about Zach.
Oh, yeah.
Fascinating.
Ben Affleck called me and said that he was working on this film, which was a Superman film. I find that interesting too, because people keep asking, they're like, "Where's Man of Steel 2?" Technically, this was this second movie in this this 5-movie arc. It was never a trilogy. It was never a trilogy, and
Sarnoff.
And it was not a trilogy. It was a 5-movie. Look,
it was a 5 elegy, yo.
Even the puppet knows it.
Did you just say 3? That's not 3 pieces. That was 5 pieces. How do you not understand that? Learn math. I certainly did.
Learn math.
Learn math, yo.
Heck yeah. See, that Kermit drop made up for it. But yeah, I mean, to sit there and say, like that's what it was. It was a 5-movie arc because we
let him finish his trilogy. Shut up.
We're so proud of him. Which was a Superman film in which he was going to play Batman. So he asked if I would read the script and consider doing a rewrite. He asked if I would do some character work. So it was already determined and storyboarded that Batman was going to try to kill Superman and that Batman was going to have gone down a dark road. He was branding criminals, and it was certain dark and it had certain dark elements that were non-negotiable and already in the story. Well, what did Affleck want you to do? My job was to create a story and a tone, really, in which Batman could be that person and in which 2 heroes could get to the point where they're fighting to the death. And what a great job Chris Terrio did.
Yes.
Dawson, you and I just had the awesome experience of being able to watch the Ultimate Edition in a theater.
Mm-hmm. And I just got my copy of the remastered version in the mail the other day.
Oh, yes. Yes, lucky.
And I love it. I love it. I haven't been able to watch the commentary yet, but just like the different scenes where you get the IMAX ratio, like the nightmare stuff and all the action scenes, like, oh, chef's kiss. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
Yes, Black Ops with a good point here, but trilogies equal
bonuses.
Yes. Bonus. Hey, and camp account pass 3. Uh-oh.
Now we're getting mean.
Hey, H Bart's here with a $2 super chat. Thank you, H Bart's.
What's up, H Bart's?
Hey, you know what, H Bart's? I appreciate you, man. I'll deliver your food for you, man. Even for the $2, man. I love you so much. I just like having you here. Mr. Kermit himself says the real Kermit has arrived. That's where I got all those Kermit drops for. It was just for him. I bet Matt Jarbo wouldn't just like spend the time to download a bunch of special drops, man, just for you. But I did. And you know what? They're all here. They're all here just for you, buddy. And so let's see. What am I going to give you? I'm going to give you this because I think you do a nice job, man. And I appreciate your comments.
Nice job. Wow. Nice job. Very nice. Very nice.
No, at like 5 a.m, I got a notification last night from and I hope he doesn't mind me sharing because he put it on Twitter, so I'm guessing he doesn't. But I got a notification from Matt Jarbo and then a re-notification from H Barts because H Barts has come over here from Matt Jarbo, and H Barts has been so kind to our channel. And H Barts, I can't even tell you how much your support is. And like, look, I don't ever expect anybody to give a super chat. So anytime somebody gives a super chat, I get just as excited about a $2 super chat just about as anything else, you know. And so, but I get this notification from Matt Jarbo where H Bart's dropped $100 super chat on Matt last night and was like, hey, tell Enosh about this. So, because I think Matt's been a little jealous since H Bart's has been coming over and showing the Poindexter Lounge some love, and so we're just glad to have you, man. So much, like I said, I downloaded a bunch of stuff just for you, buddy. Not even because you have to give super chats, but just because I like you. But he's a fellow Michigander, so nice. Yes. So he was bugging Matt Jarbo saying, "Hey, will you bring my Uber Eats to me here? Will you deliver in Michigan?" I said, "No, but I will. It's only a couple hours."
Well, H Bart's, I'm sorry.
So
I'm just kidding.
So there you go. Anyways, so Chris Terrio did a great job of crafting that movie and putting it together and making it believable.
Like, it's insane how much of a miracle Zach and Chris Terrio pulled off with that movie. Mm-hmm. Like the fact that it has the following that it has with all things that were against him from the beginning is insane. It's miraculous. It really is.
Yeah, no, I agree. He says, "What was your approach?" He says, "I came into it thinking the only way that this could work is as a fever dream or as a revenge tragedy. I thought, how do we create a story in which Bruce Wayne is traumatized by the war of Krypton coming to Earth, and in which he enters into this kind of madness? He becomes Captain Ahab, and he won't listen to saner voices like Alfred, for example, who are telling him to just see reason. He's a man possessed." So the film was dark by its nature. As I worked on the movie, it seemed to me that it was a snapshot of what I was feeling on the ground in the country, which maybe didn't become apparent until the madness and division that came about from the last presidency. He says, "I thought this superhero movie could be about getting into our worst natures, but then coming out of that into a redemption." And you know what? I like that. Look, I don't care. We don't talk about, a lot of politics here on the channel, but like, regardless of who you voted for, who you didn't vote for, whatever, guys, the reality is our country is just, I don't understand this, where we've gotten to this point where it's like, we just demonize each other, and we don't listen to each other, and we don't, it's like, now it's like, if you like this person, I hate you because you have no value. And I think that's sad. And I think, this is a great look on that, that, oh man, we need to fix that. We need to get that together, folks.
Yeah. And I mean, regardless of, political affiliation, you can look at Batman v Superman and get the idea that we live in a world that, if we live in a society, I guess I should say, as a DC fan, where people don't listen to one another. People aren't trusting of one another. And it just analyzes their own world. Like, again, I always ask the question, how would our own world react if someone like Superman came down to our world? And that's the exact question that Zack Snyder and Chris Terrio were asking. What would happen? What would the reception be? And the answer, it wouldn't be very good. Our world would freak out quite a bit, especially our modern society. I always go back to the character outside the Capitol with the alien painted on the side of his head.
Yes.
Back at that time, people look at that as like, oh, that's kind of ridiculous. But you look at that nowadays, it's not too far from the truth, from the extremes on both sides, actually. So it's just like, well, it's one of those situations where a movie's ahead of its time and its message.
But, don't forget, Dawson, as Andrew Christie says here with the $5 super chat, but Enosh, Zach, Chris, and Ray were all secretly working together to bring down WB. Remember?
Oh, man. Oh, yeah. I remember that very, very, very distinctly.
Yep. That's pretty much what they were doing.
Maybe they should have got a better bonus. They don't have to build the studio.
Well, they're just all a little salty. They're just all a little salty.
Do you have those all queued up? Do you have a stream deck? Like, how do you...
Have you ever seen StreamYard? Have you ever
not from the back end only.
Yeah.
You have a bunch of pictures and videos.
That's dope. So it's almost like you have like a Twitch deck or something like that. Like, how kind
of
like a hard. You have a software version of it.
Yeah, something like that.
Yep. Pretty
Cool.
much. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah. So, that being said, kind of jumping back to like take that down, but yeah, look, we all know that they were all working together. I do too. You do suck. I blame the Spice Girls. You know,
Speaking of, did you guys see the pictures of the Powerpuff Girls that was reported that the tweet was taken down?
Was the tweet taken down?
The tweet was taken down.
I didn't see that the tweet was taken down. I saw a bunch of pictures of it though. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I should have.
The tweet got deleted. Which is interesting.
It is interesting. It is very interesting. Did you see that, Firewater?
Negative, sir.
Okay. It basically.
It's the CW being the CW, essentially.
It looked like a regular CW show with girls, like one girl with a pink dress, one girl with a teal dress, and like one girl with I don't even know what the other color.
It looked like a girls' night out.
Yeah, it didn't look like. If you would have shown me that picture, there was nothing about that picture that I would have ever said, "Oh yeah, that's the Powerpuff Girls."
I don't know why they need to do a live action of the Powerpuff.
Yeah, and also like who asked for that?
Yeah.
Like
everybody. But yeah, so he just saw him as a man possessed, says so it was dark by nature. He says, I thought the superhero movie could be about getting us out of our worst natures. He says, now what did you want to avoid? He said, I didn't want to make it a sitcom joke that Batman and Superman are trying to kill each other. If I'm going to work on this movie, it's going to be dark and operatic. I love that. And it's going to be uncomfortable. You mean you don't want to just make it a bunch of jokes?
What?
Jokey jokes? Something funny? Something to tease you? Maybe a little bit, Dawson?
You're laughing? Oh, I know what you're trying to do. I
don't know what you're talking about, Dawson.
You know exactly what you're trying to do. And I'm not going to stand for it.
Are you sure?
I guess there's nothing that I can do.
Okay.
Just like to tease everybody a little bit, just tickling it a little bit.
Yeah.
I can't remember for the life of me who I was talking to, or if I was talking to anyone. I can't even remember at this point. And the fact that I'm wearing in that video exactly what I'm wearing now, I think
it's even better.
Yo, man, you may want to wash your shirt. Just saying.
Well, this is a hoodie, sir.
Okay, sir.
No,
okay, sir.
Well, everybody knows you don't go washing all your hoodies because that they lose their cottony goodness, and whatever. Andrew Christie with the $2 super chat says, I rephrase, they still are, apparently. They still are trying to take down WB.
Ah, yes.
All of them.
The effort is ongoing.
Yes, it's an ongoing effort. And we know that. We know that. But Dawson just says, just tickle it a little bit. Just tease it a little bit. They like that one. They like
I do this to myself, it's just something that just happens.
Well, at least you're not the only one.
Like it's a massive thing, and so I want to see his thing.
I love how you inserted your reaction. They're like, what?
No, I had to leave my reaction in there because I was just like, wait, what? I was on that stream. I was on that stream with you guys, and I was like, wait a second, what?
Even I asked, was like, hold on, you want to see his what?
You want to see his what? But at the end of the day,
you do you, boo, right?
He's got to do what you got to do, man. All right. So he says, what did you want to avoid? I didn't want to make it a sitcom joke. He says, if I'm going to work on this movie, it's got to be dark and operatic. It's going to be uncomfortable. Zach and I come from very different approaches to filmmaking, but I immediately liked him because he isn't cynical and he wears his heart on his sleeve. I'm cynical enough for any room that I enter into.
Fair enough.
God, I wish Chris Terrio would address Mike Zeroh. Dear God, that'd be so awesome. Can you imagine?
James Gunn pushing back on people like, oh, so-and-so was on set. He's like, nah, I'm on the set right now. You ain't here yet. What are you talking about?
Yes, what are you talking about? I'm over here. I don't know where
I'm
you're
literally on the set right now from making this tweet. And you're full of shit. Oh, I'm sorry.
You're fine, man. I'm talking about Dawson.
You're full of bad stuff that smells.
It smells.
Okay. It says, was that Zach? Oh, excuse. How did things develop from there? It says, I wrote drafts of Batman v Superman. And it says, which wasn't called Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice by me. I did not name the script. In fact, I found out what the movie was called along with the rest of the world on the internet. I was not consulted on the title of the film, and I was surprised as anyone. He's very candid here, you know.
Very candid.
He says, I would not have named it Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. He says, was that Zach's choice? He says, I don't know exactly who named it, but I suspect it was the studio. I suspect it was the studio.
The ability to speak does not make you intelligent. I am Qui-Gon Jinn and super serious.
But me suspected it was marketing.
I have a green saber. I will slash your throat so I don't have to hear you spec anymore.
Oh no! To be honest with you, Misa think
Misa little clumsy.
It might have been first step towards creating your will for the film.
Zoom, slice.
You turn into Elmo. You turn into Elmo there.
La 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 la.
Yeah, zoom, zoom, double slice. You know, 2 sabers for him.
La 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 la. Weeding sucks. La 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 la.
I suspect that putting the words Batman and Superman into the title had some marketing component to it.
To get the bonus.
Well, yeah. Got to get the bonus. Come on. You got to get that marketing money going. Got to get got to get people tickling and ripping and the tearing and all that good stuff. It says, I think you're right, and that title did rub people the wrong way.
Never open another man's rhubarb.
No. I got that one too. It says, I heard it and I thought it just sounds self-important and clueless in a way. Tone deaf. The intention of the film was to do something interesting and dark and complex. Not quite as Las Vegas, bust 'em up WWE match as Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. He says, they asked, how do you feel about the version of BVS that was first released? He says, I was proud of the script when I completed it, but it turns out that when you remove the 30 minutes that give the characters motivation for the climax, the film just doesn't work.
What?
Yeah.
Who'd have thought?
It's like getting your foreplay, getting your climax, nothing in between.
That's an interesting way to put it, but okay.
No comment.
Well, I'm just saying, I mean, like, let's be honest, it's just, it's just tickling, it's just tickling, seeing that thing, and you do you, boo, because that's all you're getting at the end of the day. It's like a kick to the groin.
I love how he sticks the landing.
Right.
And then you gotta make the landing.
He's got to land with dignity while he still has some left.
It says, so he just says the film just didn't work. It says, as we learned from the 2 versions of Justice League, you can't skip on the characters and think the audience will give a crap about the VHX. It says that stuff was later restored in the extended version. I guess it's called and then they cut him off, says the Ultimate Edition, remastered and released on HBO Max this March. That just sounds like a commercial.
That's how you do the plug, yo. That's how you do it.
Like, I guess it's called the Ultimate Edition, remastered and released on HBO Max this month. What are the numbers on that?
We have no answer.
I got nothing. They don't tell me. Sorry. So this house of cards that had been built in order to motivate this clash between America's 2 favorite superheroes had made no sense at all. That was what happened with Batman v Superman, or Batman Superman. The movie was always going to be dark, but there were always going to be people who just didn't want to see that version of a comic book world, and I get that. But what hurt what hurt was the criticism that the script was not coherent, because when I turned in the script to the studio, which they, by all accounts, were happy with, it made sense.
Yeah.
Man, I feel so bad for him.
Well, because like he mentions later on, like, well, he doesn't necessarily say it in these words, but it's because the studio that his name got dragged through the mud. Like, people literally mock his
and
name.
He had to take the L, yeah.
Yeah, and he couldn't say anything. He couldn't say that wasn't what I did. Like he couldn't rebuke what they were saying falsely about him. Like he couldn't say anything.
It's like when you get let go from a job, Dawson, and you have no clue why.
No one here has that experience ever.
Oh. Do we have the numbers on that? Oh no, they didn't tell me. Sorry again. That's a joke about my my current progression in my my personal life. There you go. Thank you all for listening to that.
It's a sneak peek into the life.
Just a sneak peek.
Well, oh my God. Before you keep going, man, I actually got a dip. I got to get up early and do some work, man. I'll catch y'all later, and I got to go get that bonus.
Bonuses to you, sir. Bonuses
all right.
to you.
Have a great evening. All right.
You too, man.
Thanks
for being here.
Deuces. Bye, Dawson.
All right. So what was your relationship like with Zach? Wait, hold on. Did I go back?
You gotta share it again.
What happened? Oh, did I miss it? What happened? Where'd it go? There it is. Yay! Yes. There it is. It's back. Yeah. So so he's just like, like I turned it in. It made sense. Don't know. I
love his response to the question where it's like, "What was your relationship with Zach?" Good.
I liked him. I have nothing whatsoever bad to say about Zach. He has a skill set that I don't have as a visualist, and he has a contagious excitement that when you describe a scene, he almost can't contain himself, and he just wants to go draw it or paint it. Zach never for a second turned his back on me or doubted my work.
Sounds about right.
Yep, sounds about right from what we've heard. After Batman, Superman, many of my Hollywood friends just stopped talking to me because they sort of thought that somehow I was complicit in this very public failure of a studio film. Man, you learn pretty quickly who your real friends are and who are your air kiss Hollywood friends are. Zach could not have been more supportive and never stopped believing that together we were going to create this big, epic DC world. I love the fact that he just, like Zach wouldn't let it go.
Yeah. Zach had hopes for it. He was always the optimist.
And yeah, and let's be honest. I mean, Zach has, continued to strengthen us and to, push us along even, when there's been times where people felt like they couldn't, go on. Right. And like, even right now where we're at, Dawson, with trying to restore the SnyderVerse. Right. Like, I think there's many times where there's a lot of people who just feel like, oh, what's the point? Like we feel like we're right back where it began. It's like we're being told that this thing doesn't exist. It's never going to happen, whatnot. And yet Zach still is dropping little hints here and there and little encouragements and saying like, wow, you guys, with all these tweets and everything, and he just seems very supportive.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
This makes me sad though that the studio literally drove him to this. How did you feel when that journey ended prematurely with Justice League's upheaval? He says, I went into such depression when the film was taken away and rewritten, but I didn't even feel entitled to be depressed because Zach and Debbie, his wife and co-producer, were dealing with their family tragedy. Measured against that, losing the film that you wrote seems like nothing at all, but it did hurt. Of course it did. I mean, that's your baby. That's something that you create, and even though it's not a person, it's still a part of you.
Yeah. I mean, if you're a creative person, like things that you make and that you're proud of, they're part of who you are. They're part of your identity, like the things, I mean, I've never made a movie or anything, but the small things that I've created, like my own comics, the small drawings that I do, like anything that I create, like my channel, I take pride in that as someone who's creative and, someone who's trying to build a story on an epic scale like Chris Terrio and Zack Snyder were. Again, it's not the same as losing a family member, obviously, but it still has a pain to it that to the individual is very difficult to bear.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, as a creator myself in just many different ways, a musician, I as a writer, as somebody who, just like you, has a channel, like I used to do a radio show. You put time and effort into things, and you want people to see your work. I can't imagine what it would be like, Dawson, to have somebody take something you did, rip it to shreds, and then still present it as something you did.
It's like I actually kind of had somewhat of an experience like this, not exactly like this, of course, because this is a massive story, but with regards to music, my older brother and I, we partnered up, and like he wrote the lyrics of a song, and I helped him like put together the instrumentals for it and everything. Like we made this really beautiful song that talked about like home in the Blue Ridge Mountains and talk about the history of the area and everything. And we presented it to this guy that we trusted and that we really liked and that we saw as an ally in the music industry in the area. And he told us like this is terrible. Like this is incredible. He was not like terrible. Like he talked about how it said something in the song that wasn't being said and that no one else but him, interpreted it that way. Like we showed it to so many different people we trusted with music and everything. And we asked, like, do you get this from this song? And he's just like, no, not at all. But this one person kept on like bashing, and that song went nowhere, even though it was a very beautiful ballad and it was very well done. And my brother and I were very proud of it. And again, something like that, it haunts you and it makes you angry just thinking about it.
Man, you're right. You do suck. WB did him dirty, did everybody dirty by this. I mean, so on so many levels, he says here, but it did hurt. It hurts to think that I cared so much about these characters and worked on nothing else for a very long time. He says a line like that is held as proof positive that I don't understand either women or journalists or human beings, and that I'm a crappy writer. I think it goes. Do you feel like the title and the cuts for length made it harder for people to appreciate things that did work in Batman v Superman? He says that's exactly right. The audience has to know they're in good hands. This is so true. This is so true. The minute that you lose them from a story point of view, they lose the desire to look at it generously. That's why you hear people like, this whole movie is trash.
Like, no,
it's not. Okay. You can not like certain parts, but yeah, if you lose the audience, man, you've lost the battle. It says once the critics decide a movie is incoherent, it's just a pile on because people wait to be told, Dawson, how they feel about something.
Yes, they wait for the critics and they don't know how to make up their own minds. A lot of these different people. And then once they hear a narrative that feeds into many of their preconceived notions, they hold on to that narrative forever, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Says they attack everything. There's a line at the beginning of the film where a warlord says to Lois Lane, they didn't tell me the interview was with a lady. And Lois replies, I'm not a lady, I'm a journalist. So one reviewer held up this line as proof positive of my stupidity and my inability to write Lois or to write at all. You don't think the people pay attention? He remembered that.
Oh, yeah. And like, my issue is like, of course, we're talking about someone who's nitpicking stuff here, but what's the complaint about that statement? I don't understand why that would be such a bad thing for someone to put into a movie, even if it wasn't based on something that actually happened. You know, like, I'm not a lady, I'm a journalist. Like, look at me as who I am here professionally. Like, that just makes sense. And again, people want to take the smallest things and say like, oh, this is like proof of something that bad. And it's just like, no, it's not at all.
It's people, reaching, Dawson.
Yes.
Says, well, the character of Lois in the movie was inspired by the journalist Marie Colvin, who was, of course, killed in Syria. She was one of the most intrepid journalists who ever lived, in my opinion. And there's a story in Vanity Fair, Marie Colvin's Private War by Marie Brenner. Notice he's got this information like, boom. And the line that Lois says is almost exactly the line that was in that article. Oh, you mean almost like there's a reason behind the lines that he wrote.
Yeah, who'd have thunk, right?
Says, He says, that was in that article where a Chechen warlord said he wouldn't shake her hand because she was a woman. Marie Colvin replied, there is no woman in this room, only a journalist. So that line was my tribute to her. But then in the pile-on, a line like that is held as proof positive that I don't understand either women or journalists or human beings, and that I'm a crappy writer. Sounds like you feel like you lost people before they even saw it. He says that was the climate in which the film dropped. Anything and everything was attacked because the reviewers questioned the motives behind the film. And to some extent, I don't blame them. The marketing promised this mindless fight movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And any attempt to make something real or complicated was just met with anger and vitriol because the audience just didn't assume good intentions.
And they also, that goes into the idea of people think something's not quality because it's not what they expected. And that's something that people need to relearn, is that just because something is not exactly what you expected does not automatically diminish the quality of said film.
Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%, Dawson. It's not about what you and I expected out of a film. It's about the story we're being told.
About what you got.
And if we can get past ourselves from wanting to dictate the story to wanting to go to the movie and have the story told to us, I think, ladies and gentlemen, you can learn to like a whole lot more than and really understand something a whole lot more than you ever could before.
And it's not necessarily like the idea of just something accepting what's given to you.
Yeah.
It's the idea of being able to enjoy what you have there, you know?
Absolutely. Andrew Christie here with a $20 super chat. Thank you, Andrew. Man, you're awesome. Thank you so much, buddy. He says, I work in the industry as a composer. The suits always think they know better, and 95% of the time they have no creative instinct or skill, and their notes almost always make the product worse.
Mm-hmm.
This needs to change. Such a great comment there, man. Such a great comment, because it's so true. People always think that, you know what, they know better. They want to tell you how things should be, you know, when in reality, sometimes even as a creator, you got to step back, right?
Mm-hmm.
And let every person in the mix do their job. Yeah. You can't try to do somebody else's job. Like, you know, you can't try to micromanage everybody. You got to let, if you're the composer, you got to let the person compose. That's what you hired them for.
Like, they're obviously there for a reason. They have that expertise, whereas executives don't. Executives are trained and educated to manage people. They're not trained and educated to manage like the art of the movie. They're not trained about the music. They're not trained about the cinematography. All they're trained on what to do is to manage the people, hire the people, and make sure that everything runs smoothly. That is their job. And if need be, maybe step in if something gets too out of hand. But at the same time, you got to make sure you don't overstep. Essentially, stay in your lane.
Yeah. And look, don't try to do everybody else's job. I have, look, as being somebody who's been a worship director, a worship pastor, a worship leader, like when people started micromanaging me, telling me, Dawson, like, well, you know, do this song or do that song, or like, I don't like the lyrics to this song, so change the lyrics to this song or that song. And I'm like, wait a second, what? Like, this is my job. Like, this is like, you're not the one who even hired me for this job, yet you're critiquing and micromanaging what I do.
Right.
Okay. Why don't you stay in your lane? Like you said, do your job that's essential and important, and I'll do mine. Right. And at the end of the day, the results will speak for themselves. Right. Don't come at me and be like, well, I don't think this is going to work. Okay, that's fine. We can have that conversation. But at the end of the day, this is my job. I'm the one who was hired to do this job. Let me do my job.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And guess who that's on?
That's on you.
It's on me. That's on me. And I'm definitely willing to, you know, keep responsibility for that. But, you know, it's just, people just want to, you know, blow you over. And so this is for you, Andrew.
Oh, brother.
H Barts with a $5 super chat. Thank you. H Barts says, you think if Zack gets to do Justice League 2 and 3, Superman will actually wear a black suit, or would it be the blue suit but CGI'd like in Snyder Cut? That's an interesting question.
That is an interesting question, because I know Zach has talked about the idea of the blue and red suit and the black suit being like making it easier to understand where at in time that is. Like, for example, if it's the black suit, it's after he's, come back from the dead and he's back, but not necessarily the same, but he's, Superman. But the red and blue suit either is before when he's like just barely Superman or during the nightmare situation. So I would assume that if it's before he succumbs to the anti-life equation, that it's the black suit that he'd be in.
Mm-hmm. I definitely think he'll be in a black suit, but I wonder if you think that it will be an actual black suit, or do you think that he'll have a blue suit that's CGI? Because I think that's the nature of this question.
Yeah, it's a good point. I think personally that if Zach is given a ton of creative freedom and it's HBO Max and they're letting him just do what he wants, I don't see why they wouldn't let him build a suit, because at the end of the day, it is much less expensive to let him just simply have a suit built rather than CGIing a suit and color correcting the suit throughout an entire film, because that's extra CGI assets that are unnecessary if you just simply have a tailor there making a new suit.
Yeah. Tizai here says, artist, you let me do my job. I won't come for your bonus. Deal? And Matt Jarbo's here. I do understand the sentiment here. The suit's job is to find a way to market the creative's material to a wider audience. That's true. That's their lane.
Yeah. That's the lane.
You stay in that lane. But also you have to trust the people that you hire to do the job that you hired them to do. Yes, there's editing, there's marketing, there's figuring out a way to take those pieces and put them together. And I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about, at the end of the day, there's too many people who get micromanaged to death where their creativity is just stifled and they can't even be the creative anymore.
Right.
Because of what they're going through.
And when that happens, it's very obvious.
For sure.
What comes out is a, like Chris Terrio says, a corporate movie.
Mm-hmm. No, you're absolutely right. Says another complaint was that Snyder's DC films were too grim and heavy. Did you feel blamed for that? The studio seemed to take this position after BVS that my writing was too dark and that this was their problem. But what they didn't mention was that, for example, in the draft of Batman Superman script, the WB had developed. Oh,
this caught me by surprise.
Let's get into this, shall we? That in the draft of Batman Superman script that Warner Brothers had developed, which was the draft I was handed when I joined the project, Batman was not only branding criminals with a bat brand, but he also ended the movie by actually branding Lex Luthor.
That's dark, Warner Brothers. That's pretty dark. Not gonna lie. It seems like someone's a hypocrite.
That's interesting, isn't it, Dawson?
It is.
Let's see. That ending was a point over which I explicitly went to the mat with the studio again and again. I argued that Batman cannot end the movie continuing this behavior, which amounted to torture, because then the movie was endorsing what he did. Dawson, people who can't separate those two, that like Batman had been pushed over the edge and was, on that brink and then came back.
Right.
He got his humanity back in that movie.
And literally Warner Brothers wanted it to where he didn't. Which
they just wanted to keep branding people. The Bat brand. Bat brand.
And it's funny, again, he points out the fact that, and they called his writing dark. Like they said this a bunch of times, like, oh, this universe was like, it was darker than what we wanted. Is like, but you wanted it to be even darker. Like that's what you wanted.
Yeah, no, absolutely. H Barts with another $5 super chat. Thank you so much, H Barts. Says, where is the dancing salt shaker? Also, I believe in truth, but I'm also big old fan of justice. There it is. I'm a big old fan of justice. Yeah. But I believe in truth. I believe in truth.
Oh gosh.
Says what was your argument to them? Is that the right place? Yeah, that was the right place. What was your argument to them? It's one thing if Batman begins the movie as a dark version of himself whom we don't recognize, but he has to see the error of his ways and remember his better self in the course of the movie. By the end of the movie, he needs to be the Batman we know, and he has to be ready to go and create the Justice League. Otherwise, I said, what was the point?
Mm-hmm.
God, I love Chris Terrio.
He asked the tough questions. What would have been the point?
What else did you push back against? I'm the one who had been saying that we can't make a joke out of Superman raining hell upon black African Muslim characters in the desert, as Lois promises that Superman is not going to go easy on them because they punched her. But somehow I'm the person with the dark sensibility. I wanted to say, I've been saving you from yourselves. I've been working with the director to bring a voice of conscience and sanity to the almost perversely dark film you've been developing for years. But I'm the problem here?
Apparently.
Dawson, I mean, what do you think when you read this? I mean, look, we've speculated a lot about some of this stuff, Dawson, for a long time, right? And we've talked a lot about some of this stuff. And now to actually hear Chris Terrio say it,
it's amazing because, you know, this is one of those people we've been wanting to hear from for a while and hear his side of the story. But honestly, this interview with him is better than any fan of Batman v Superman could have ever asked for.
Oh, for sure.
It's better than anyone could have asked for. Because, like, I'm hearing all these things, like Warner Brothers wanting it even darker. And, like, because, again, we've all been making videos regarding Batman v Superman for the past, 3 years, talking about our opinions on it, why people misunderstand it, and things of that nature. And now seeing him explain in full, like, this is what we were going for, and this is what the studio wanted. It's vindication, really, for everything we as fans have been saying. It's like, look, the studio stepped in at the 9th hour, demanded some ridiculous things, and the theatrical version is what the result was. People are like, yeah, right, that's not how it really was. Sure, the extended version still sucks. Just like, well, here's the writer right here. Ask him yourself. Actually, you don't even have to. It's in an article for you.
H. Barts with another $10 super chat says, people hate Batfleck for killing, but doesn't Christian Bale, 12-pack of cigarettes a day, Batman, let Ra's al Ghul die and then abandon Gotham in Dark Knight Rises?
Literally every other Batman besides George Clooney has killed someone at some point in their cinematic history.
And George Clooney just killed the franchise.
Yeah, I mean, he did the worst killing of all. But, like, yeah, he's absolutely right.
I kind of want to go back there and see, like, if George Clooney just accidentally killed somebody.
Like, if Christian Bale actually has the highest body count of all of the live-action Batman, followed by Michael Keaton. And it's so funny. I've been having this argument with Michael Keaton fans for years. And don't get me wrong. Again, I have this thing right here. I have the Lego Batwing from 1989. I love Michael Keaton's Batman. But, again, right here, people have this weird thing. We're like, oh, Michael Keaton was the best Batman. Ben Affleck's killed. And I'm just like, Michael Keaton literally had the Batmobile drive into Axis Chemicals, not Ace Chemicals, but Axis Chemicals in this movie, drop bombs from the tires of the Batmobile with like 20 different Joker goons inside the power plant or the chemical plant and blow the whole thing up. Michael Keaton's Batman literally killed more people in 1 second than Ben Affleck's Batman did in an entire freaking movie.
Well, you know why that is, right, Dawson? Because he's just so angry.
I cannot express my anger right now. It's through the roof. Through the roof, I'm telling you. It's through the roof. It's like long gone. But still, don't do that. Stop.
I love that.
I got to get more of these, like one for H Barts, but then also just like two that because they're just funny. They're just absolutely funny. Yeah, Michael Keaton's Batman is a homicidal maniac.
He is. I mean, for as much as we love him as amazing and iconic as he is, he's a homicidal maniac. He literally smiles at a guy as he lets him explode. Like,
well, so here's something interesting. Adam West Batman is killed as well.
Yeah.
If you remember the original Batman movie from the 60s, they do this thing where they dehydrate the villains, where it's like if you touch them or you hit them really hard, they just kind of go into like they disappear into this powder, and they get blown away in the wind. So like they
get what in the wind?
They get blown away in the wind.
Oh, all right.
Yes. Well, it's not getting tickled, but I don't know, but yeah, they die. I mean, they're dead. Like there ain't no coming back from that. And so it is what it is. But my gosh, like I don't know, man. When you look at it and just see like Batman is killed, what are you gonna do? It's not just straight up just because it's Zack Snyder's or Chris Terrio's version. This is something that they were working on. This is something that the studio was literally working on. It was already going to be dark, but we've been told this narrative that it's all Zack, Dawson.
That's all Zack's fault. And like, again, we love the darkness of it. And we think it's all the better for it. But It's funny that Warner Bros. Wanted to go that extra step that would have been too far. And like Chris Terrio said, he literally was saving them from themselves. Time and time again, he was saving them from themselves. Literally, if it weren't for Zack Snyder and Chris Terrio doing what they did with what they had, with the restrictions and the pressure they had, like there'd be absolutely zero hope for DC films. And I'm just saying, because 184, I personally am not a huge fan. I'm not going to say it's awful, but you have Birds of Prey. I also really don't like that one. Shazam was meh. Aquaman was fun. But like other than that, you have no direction. Zack Snyder and Chris Terrio gave you a direction. Because again, literally this article further proves that without Zack Snyder and Chris Terrio, there was no plan. There was no plan, no buildup for anything besides just one-off movies that they hoped would somehow work together for their benefit someday. Yep. And newsflash, when you don't have a plan, that's not going to happen. A cinematic universe doesn't just fall in your lap. And so what does Warner Brothers do? They see one semblance of a plan and they freak out.
So Tizai, are you saying that Superman killed Elsa in the North Pole? No, that's but I get it. No, you're absolutely right. And Dawson, you and I have had this. We've been in a thread on Facebook about this very topic. Mm-hmm. People trying to defend this and say that Christopher Reeve Superman didn't kill Zod, didn't kill him, throwing him into an ice shelf, with his superpowers, with a human being and crushing his hand isn't petty at all.
Not at all. Not at all. I left the Facebook group, by the way. I was done.
Did you really?
I was done. I was so sick and tired of the toxicity in that Facebook group.
Man,
I was done.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it's all good. I still have my friends.
Exactly. H Barts with a $5 super chat. Thank you, H Barts. Says, if you could give Batfleck a trilogy, who would be the villains? I know for me, first of all, I just want to see him interact with Jared Leto.
Yes.
I mean, you hate to go back to like the old narrative, but it is first of all, Enosh, let it go. But no, I want to see, I'd love to see him interact with Jared Leto's Joker.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. I think that would be great.
Deathstroke, of course, Joe Manganiello.
Yeah, Deathstroke. I don't know who else.
I think a great one for Ben Affleck's Batman. I think they could pull off Mr. Freeze really well.
You Mr. Freeze, bring back Schwarzenegger.
Nope, not that.
John Mulaney.
John Mulaney. I don't know who I'd cast as Mr. Freeze. That's the one question I've always had, is who would I have cast as Mr. Freeze? But I just don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard sometimes to just kind of come up with those, you know, those just off the top of your. You still have us, Dawson.
Yes.
There you go. But yeah, it's interesting to hear though that a lot of this stuff was already in there, you know, and that they actually helped bring it back from the brink. It says, did you feel you were able to significantly change the Africa scene with Superman for the better? He says, I removed the punch of Lois for one thing. Just think about the optics of that. I was able to add material to the film and ask the movie to grapple with what that battle meant, so that it didn't seem like a casual scene of Superman intervening in a way without reckoning with the consequences of intervention. I placed that in the context of a moral question. Superman says, think of what could have happened. And Lois says, think of what did. Such a good writing. That sequence takes place in a fictional African country called Nairobi. There's a.
By the way, you're not sharing it on the screen right now.
Oh, am I not? Oh, I'm
No.
sorry. I'm sorry. Okay. Well, I will now.
Good.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Ryan Rivera with a $4.99 super chat. Thank you, sir. Says,
What's up, man?
What's up, Enosh and Dawson? Great stream. Do you guys think Justice League 2 will open with Darkseid's origin and how he rose to power on Apocalypse?
I'm going to say no, and here's why. Ever since Man of Steel, you know, we've since had BVS and Zack Snyder's Justice League. We've seen the ending of the previous film from an alternative perspective that we didn't see in the previous one. Like BVS, you saw the fight between Zod and Superman from Bruce Wayne's perspective. In Zack Snyder's Justice League opening, we saw the death of Superman, not from Superman's perspective, but from Bruce Wayne, Diana, and
great point.
Lois's perspective. So what I think we'll see is we'll see the end of the fight between the Justice League and Steppenwolf from the perspective of Darkseid. We'll see that play out to where he sees from a first-hand perspective the head of Steppenwolf rolling towards him, and then him staring down the League. Then they'll have like a title card, have like some montages, and go to Darkseid talking to Desaad and getting the Armada ready, and then flash to the Justice League, and then quickly build up to where we're in the Nightmare situation. It will probably be a situation where they'll go back and forth between the Nightmare timeline and the build up to that Nightmare timeline.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Dawson. I mean, that's kind of been the pattern, you know, so far is it kind of ends the way, or kind of begins the way the last one ended. And so I could definitely see that, you know, that it ends like that. And we get to see kind of what happened after the boom tube closed on Darkseid's end, you know, with him and Desaad and Granny Goodness, you know, maybe even hear Granny Goodness speak for the first time.
Yeah. I mean, and if you guys do notice, there was the trailers for Zack Snyder's Justice League where there was a specific shot of Desaad that wasn't used in the movie. But of course, why would Zack waste time on a shot he wasn't going to use if he had free reign to put any footage he wanted to in the movie? I feel like the question needs to be presented there, because again, why would he waste that time besides just simply to do a reveal? Because that's an expensive reveal of the look of Desaad instead of just simply like showing him in a shot in the movie. Right? Why would you waste money on that if you're in a situation where you're just simply, you know, getting a movie out there?
Yep. That's
so
true.
For all we know, that could be an interaction that Zack has planned for Desaad and Darkseid in the sequel.
Heck yeah. Stanley Tucci is Mr. Freeze. Says you do suck. H Barts with another $5 super chat. Thank you, H Barts. Says, I think if Christopher Reeve was still alive, he would have cameoed in Man of Steel or passed the mantle to Henry like he did with Tom, but for films. Absolutely 100%, 1,000,000%. He absolutely would have done that because Christopher Reeve was he understood the character. I mean, he did it for Tom, like you said, you know. So like, why wouldn't he? He would have definitely done that, you know. And so I totally buy that.
Yeah, me too.
For sure. Yeah, no, I'm straight up on board with that for sure.
And I feel pretty sorry for the next guy who looks at me funny.
What about that guy?
Rel McMillan with the $4.99 super chat.
What's up, Rel?
What's up, Rel? Rel and I go way back, man. Rel's been here for a while. I appreciate Rel a lot. The $4.99 super chat says, I wish Zach didn't cut the "We live in a society" line. It made that scene between Batfleck and Leto's Joker even better. Fire. Heck yeah, it did. Heck yeah, it did.
I like that line. Although I do see why they cut it, just because I don't know. I like both. I think both work in their own way, but not at the same time.
Gotcha.
You kind of have to have one or the other because they both say the same thing, just in a slightly different way. You know?
Yeah, no, I mean, I like the line. I love, I just love Jared Leto, man.
He did a great job.
I really dig his Joker. So says the sequence takes place in a fictional country, in a fictional African country called Nairobi. And there's manipulation happening with Lex Luthor and his American mercenaries trying to provoke conflict and frame Superman. After Superman rescues Lois, the film shows the people of that region truly suffering in the crossfire. It says, without sounding too political, it's not lost on me that much like a drone, Superman sort of comes from out of nowhere from the sky and vanquishes his enemies and then flies off with no consequences. They may not have that may not have been an angle on Superman that people wanted to see and wanted to think about. That's why I think Batman v Superman has aged so well, because there's things that I don't think people were ready for, Dawson.
Yeah.
There's concepts and thoughts that I don't think people were ready for.
And I don't think they're ready for them to be addressed in a superhero film with some of their favorite characters, which, in my opinion, if you're going to do that in a way that, you know, isn't overly preachy, but just gets the message across, why not do it in a very popular type of film to where, you know, people are going to be seeing it, you know, if it's done well. Of course, it has to be written well. That's the big thing. And in Batman v Superman's case, it was.
Yep. The next question just talks about, you know, did you also add the scene with the character of what is it, Kahina Ziri, who was a witness to the battle, testifying about the aftermath in Washington, D.C. Ultimately, we learn she was coerced by Luthor, but her testimony does make the audience and Clark Kent himself reevaluate his actions and how he operates. And then Chris says, yeah, that was added afterwards. I added that scene. He came down and then came fire. The story that she tells, at least in the script, is that he destabilized the entire region and then government forces came in and slaughtered the village. Since these were the optics that already were in the movie, I thought that my job was to ask questions and say, what do we actually mean by this? And I really liked her role in the film. It says you're pushing back against some of these scenes, and you're saying that the studio wanted these things, but you also had to convince Zack, right? So was Zack Snyder open to these kinds of criticisms? It says when I would talk to Zack about some of these things, I think he got it. We discovered that we were on the same page and that he loved the idea of a scene in Congress with this African woman describing the consequences in her village. He right away sparked to that and got excited about casting the character with actor. I'm gonna mess up her name, I know, but Wunmi Mosaku.
I think that's right. Yeah,
I'm gonna try. Says now known for Lovecraft Country, and thought she could be a very important character for the movie. So Zack was quite open to all of this stuff, and I thought the studio was too. Why weren't they? He's asked. Later, when I realized that so much of the plot was going to be cut out, I began to think, well, they didn't really want this kind of story. The last things to get cut out always are the stunt scenes and the special effects scenes because they cost so much. By the time they're all in there in the assembly, enormous amounts of money have been spent on every frame. So when you're looking to cut time, the things that get cut out tend to be the big effects. The things that do tend to get cut out tend not to be the big effect sequences or the fights or the stunt sequences. The things that get cut are the And again, he's interrupted. The nuance says, yeah, the scenes that actually give meaning to those bigger action sequences. I think that's a problem, not only with this film, but I suppose for all tentpole films. Given your concerns about Batman v Superman structure you inherited, why did you sign on for Justice League? He said, I'm a glutton for punishment.
Question.
I'm a glutton for punishment. He says, I agreed to write Justice League because I wanted the chance to write these characters with love and hope after getting through the darkness of Batman v Superman. Oh my gosh. Talk about like ramming your head into a wall. It says that the end of my version of Batman v Superman includes Bruce seeing the error of his ways and promising to change, in the return of conscience after an ethical nightmare. And in Justice League, Bruce does do better. It says after Batman v Superman came out, the critical reaction was negative and the box office was underwhelming. Justice League was about to begin shooting. What was the atmosphere like then? There was a mood of fear at the studio, no doubt. My impression was that people in boardrooms started making the decisions, and they were decisions based on arbitrary metrics that had nothing to do with the stories that were being told. What gave you that sense? Right before the time of Batman Superman, I was asked to attend an event in New York where the cast and filmmakers were paraded in front of a room of investors at the Time Warner Center, I guess to convince them that their money was in good hands. What happened there? These guys were in charge because they controlled the money at the very top of the pyramid. They were making big decisions, not the film executives we're talking about, but Wall Street guys. One guy who I can only describe as the man whose central casting sends when you're trying to cash douchebag number one pulled me aside and started telling me how to write Batman.
That's a great way to put it.
Wow. I'm not naive. I know that if you don't want to have any back and forth with the money people, then you should write poetry because you don't need hundreds of millions of dollars. But something about the distribution of power at that time just seemed off to me. I was removing even the pretense that capital wasn't calling the shots. What impact did these studio tensions have on your writing? I rewrote Justice League to lighten the mood a little bit, which became the Zack Snyder Justice League. So it was supposed to be even darker. It says that's a slightly lighter, less dense version of the script, which I was fine with. I'm sane and I will play ball with these kind of notes. Wow. So Zack Snyder shot your version of the script. What happened to his family crisis? What happened after his family crisis led him to leave the project? Brought in Joss Whedon to rewrite and reshoot. He says when the movie was taken away, that felt like it was some directive that had come from the people who are neither filmmakers nor film friendly. The directive to make the movie under 2 hours, regardless of what the movie needed to do, and to make the colors brighter and to have funny sitcom jokes in it. Yay. I love sitcom jokes. I love sitcom jokes.
I would have never guessed.
Yeah. Zach told me it was then Warner Brothers chairman Kevin Tsuchihara. Thank you. Mandate for it to be under 2 hours and more comedic. Yep. That's what I heard also. Never had anything direct with him. Tsuchihara, as far as I can tell, and the brass at the very top decided the order of the films. I was not consulted on the order of the films, even though I was the person writing Justice League. They just determined that it was going to be Batman, Superman, and then Wonder Woman, then Justice League, and then Aquaman. So there was never any thought to how the world was constructed before they issued the edict. They said, conform to this schedule. That's how you write a story, dude.
Oh, yeah. That's how you write a solid narrative. You just told, like, hey, conform to this. And you work your way around it. That's how good story writing's done.
Oh, for sure. Sure. Real quick. H Barts with another $5 super chat. Thank you, H Barts. You're awesome. I love you, man. Says I would love to see in a Man of Steel 2 Superman fight Mongol. Oh, heck yeah. I got a Mongol action figure back here, man. I would love to see that. Holy cow.
Speaking of figures, I have a Superman Unchained figure coming in the mail tomorrow, the McFarlane one.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah,
nice,
I'm pretty stoked.
Oh my gosh. H Barts with another $5 super chat. Thank you, H Barts. Says how big would Martian Manhunter's role be in Justice League 2? Would he be hiding during the Nightmare timeline, or would he have fought Superman?
I was kind of figuring that if, Martian Manhunter during the Nightmare situation would be dead.
See, that's what I was thinking too.
Because the Earth is scorched and his weakness is fire.
Yep. He ain't going to be fighting much when it comes to fire.
So I think he's dead in that situation. I definitely think there will be a time frame where we see all the League members, including Martian Manhunter, fighting or interacting in some way. But as far as the Nightmare, I don't think Martian Manhunter will be anywhere to be found.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. Unless it's flashbacks or something like that. Mario here with a $1.99 super chat. Thank you. Mario says, clip Elmo, please.
La 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 la. Okay. Elmo say, must clip for Mario.
You got it, man. I'll have to find something.
And sound like a Gollum and Elmo merged.
Well, my voice just went out there. I was like, I tried. I tried to give you what you needed. I failed miserably. My throat closed up. And if you can't tell, I got a little bit of a runny nose. So I'm trying to work through it. Andy Summers with a $10 super chat. And I don't see a comment. So just thank you, Andy.
Yeah.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much. What's up, Barcy? Good to see you. But thank you, Andy. Appreciate you guys. See, I didn't give any of you guys anything for that. So let me, here we go. We're talking about things being a little too jokey. Here's a little something for you.
Oh, you want to hear a joke? Oh, I got a joke for you. Huh. Ready? What does a frog call when his car breaks down? A tow truck. You get it? A tow truck? Here, right? Funny? Here. Laugh. Here. Yeah, I know, right? Funny. Really funny. Here.
Oh my god.
Here.
That was really bad.
Hey. This feels like my joke earlier. Anthony says Ben Affleck needs to come out and call out WB on how he feels. I would love to see that.
Especially with all things we know that were false about his story and everything. Like, that would be amazing. Like, the idea, again, I keep coming back to this. Joe Manganiello, out of everyone, I believe, has exposed Warner Brothers the most in their antics with lying about how they're going about their DC universe. Because, again, the whole narrative was, after a while after Justice League came out, they're like, oh, yeah, Ben Affleck's Batman's still happening. It's still happening. He's not going to direct anymore. And then, finally later down the line, it's like, oh, he's no longer in it anymore. It's not his Batman movie. They strung us along, but Joe said, no, they canceled it during production of Justice League. That's why they had the reshot post-credit scene to tease for another Justice League. And then they kept on saying, like, oh, like, Ben showed us his script and, like, we told him that he'd drink himself to death, which, again, could be a true narrative, but it paints a very different picture of the situation. It was no longer about, oh, Warner Brothers, we cared about his health, hence why we told him not to be Batman anymore. No, you canceled his movie and brought him back from rehab for reshoots. You didn't care about his health.
Yep. No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. They did not care at all. I felt like this was really interesting here, Dawson, because he talks about, he goes on to talk about here that, like, that writing for this, like, by the time he wasn't even finished with writing Justice League, and he had no basis to write Wonder Woman other than Batman and Superman. So Themyscira didn't exist. He says, I was never shown anything on the page for it. I didn't know what other people, I didn't know whether people could talk underwater. Right. People talk about that. But he says, I was not told. I mean, these are things that you want to give to your writers, don't you?
Yeah, you want to establish the world that they're writing in so that they're less focused. I mean, yes, we're focused on world building a little bit, but they're less worried about that and more focused on the story contained within that world.
Yeah, but Justice League, needed to establish 3 of the characters. It had to create a long game mythology for the DC universe, had to resurrect Superman. It had a lot to do.
Justice League had to do everything.
Pretty much. So studio co-presidents John Berg and Jeff Johns were on the Justice League set every day, which was a mandate from Sujihara to babysit Snyder, as he put it. What was your relationship with them? He says, look, I admire Jeff as a writer for DC Comics. He's been nice to me, and it's a perfectly cordial relationship. As an executive, you get into very thorny territory When you have a person who's a writer who's also is making executive decisions and sitting in the chair where on the other films the writer would have been. So I think it's miraculous that Zach shot as much of my script as he did because I know that there were constant pressure to simplify, to change, do whatever it is the studio wanted because there were rumblings that they didn't want this version. He says, I wasn't invited to the set, but I know Ben, and I got to know Ray Fisher. We developed Cyborg together. Ray came to my apartment in the East Village. And, you know, Zach just talked about this not too long ago. Says, and he and I would just take long walks and talk about Cyborg and the responsibility of putting the first black DC superhero into a movie on screen. That was a big responsibility that we both understood and took very seriously. Remember, this was before Black Panther. There obviously had been some black superheroes over the years, but none depicted in such a budget and such scale and in such a mainstream way. Cyborg is the one character who can't disguise himself. I loved this comment, man.
Yeah.
He can't disguise himself. He lives in his skin. His otherness is a constant fact of his life. And that to me and Ray, and I discussed this, speaks about being a black man in America. You cannot remove the otherness that people force upon you. And therefore Cyborg, when he becomes the hero that he always should have been and was meant to be, that felt like something really strong. And he wanted the world, and we wanted the world to see. So I talked to Jeremy Irons a little bit and had some correspondence with Gal Gadot. So what about when the Snyders left the project? That was effectively the end of your involvement. Is that right? He says, that's right. I would only hear occasional reports about the reshoot. I didn't realize how much the film was going to be changed or vandalized, in my opinion. It became clearer as I spoke to various actors that it was a wholesale dismantling of what had been there before. I did not hear from anyone who said it was a pleasant experience.
Anyone at all.
This is
amazing.
This is interesting too. Says, were you hearing anything about Joss Whedon and his management of the set? Probably shouldn't get into that.
Yeah. which means there's more there.
Yep. I never met Joss. I don't know him. I did reach out to him at the beginning of the process through the executives, but I didn't hear back, which is not unusual. When did you watch his? You notice too the difference where it's like he was there with Zach. Joss, nothing. This is, when did you watch his version of Justice League? I was in LA at the time working on Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker. I was on the west side of LA working with J.J. Abrams at the time, and I drove to the studio and I sat down and watched it in a couple of weeks before the release. I immediately called my lawyer and said, I want to take my name off this film.
That's a big boy move.
The lawyer then called Warner Brothers and told them that I wanted to do that. How bad does it have to be, dude? That you're just like, no, that's not my movie. I want to take my name off this film. This film is so bad. I mean, it's like Amber Heard bad. It's like crapping the bed bad.
I mentioned in my video covering this earlier today, the idea that I would not be shocked if in like 10 or 15 years, we'd be able to find a copy of Justice League, but they would have had both Zack Snyder and Chris Terrio's names taken off of it. I wouldn't be surprised.
No, I don't blame you, man. Like I'm seriously like, I have not been a proponent of like just getting rid of it, you know, and like tossing it, but I don't think I can watch it again.
No, not a chance.
After Justice League, I just don't think I can watch it. H Barts with a $2 super chat though says, I don't like Amber Heard, but Mira is fire. I agree. It's where you have to get beyond like who's playing a role and just what the role is. Luke agrees with you here. Drav Walker, good to see you, Drav Walker. Good to see you, Luke. Hope you're doing well. Yep, that's where to me it looks like they're making a new Batman movie. I was looking for the It's so unprofessional of a studio to let someone from Wall Street, some Wall Street jerk to talk to the writer that way. I agree. It's just, oh my gosh, where the vandalism comes in. Yeah, it's just crazy.
Again, vandalism is the perfect word to describe the situation.
Yeah, it's so sad. It's just so sad. But that he wanted to take his name off the film. He says, why didn't you? He says, Prince had already been struck or hard drives burned or however they deliver movies these days. The elements were on their way, and to remove my name, they would have had to restrike the prints and redo the digital copies, and the film could be delayed. It would be an international scandal and news story. So I shut up and I said nothing publicly. I never said anything about Justice League since then, but the movie doesn't represent my work. I want to point out something to you guys. Anybody who doubts like how this stuff happens and like why this person didn't say this or that or whatever, like there's some good people out there who they're not looking for the whole thing to get burnt to the ground.
They just want to avoid trouble, but at the same time, they notice that the situation is just bad.
Yeah, they'll literally take the hit. Right. Chris Terrio is obviously one of those. Zack Snyder is literally one of those. Right. Willing to take the hit on themselves.
Yeah. And Zack Snyder is one of those pretty much to a fault.
And then he says, as far as I know, I wasn't invited to the premiere and I never watched the film again. So why not follow through and remove your name? He says, I think it would have created a whole wave of negative publicity, and I think would have made the situation even worse for the actors and for all the craft people who had worked on it, for all the kinds of people. But I'm awfully happy that Zack Snyder's cut of Justice League is the one that is higher on my IMDb page. Oh, gosh. I'm so happy for them. Something that was this big and prominent and then so widely derided, it kind of poisons your reputation, doesn't it? He says, yeah, it hurts your reputation, but more importantly, it poisons your soul and your confidence, especially when this other version of the film wasn't seen. And now it has been seen. People do have problems with this version of the film, and they'll quibble with the length and they'll quibble with the way that certain characters are written, but that I can take because that is actual critique of my work. That's fair game, and that I'll engage with any day. People can quarrel with the movie, but at least they're quarreling with my version and with Zach's version of the film. Do you ever feel like they deliberately made you the scapegoat, the studio? I am a deeply paranoid person, so I'm also assuming that everyone has it in for me. Justice League, the Zack Snyder version, is the only script other than Argo that I have a sole writer credit on. Amazing. That came from him, man. I really did develop this so I can stand by this version, love it or hate it. What are you working on right now? He's doing a small film for Amazon, and and that's the story. So Zack Snyder's Justice League, all Chris Terrio. God, I love it. As I'm reading this, Dawson, it's so refreshing to finally start like getting some of these answers just start flooding in.
Yeah, and it's not just answers, but confirmation to things we already suspected for so long. You know, like again, I mentioned earlier, as a huge fan of Batman v Superman, the Ultimate Edition, I've had countless conversations where I've talked to people in regards to what happened to the movie, and without it being widely reported as to exactly what happened, it's hard for people to take it seriously, despite how much you as a person know what happened and can clearly see the puzzle pieces coming together to fit a picture of what actually happened. But now we have this stuff out here with this Vanity Fair article and Chris Terrio, the writer himself, giving that account, and then Zack Snyder putting his word in there, in a couple different interviews, and Ray Fisher as well. Like all these different people coming out and clarifying things for people who refused to believe to begin with. It's making things clear. It's clearing the smoke that was there before. And it's just, again, like they said right here, Kenneth says it perfectly. Great article. We've been getting a lot of great articles lately, haven't we?
We have. One right after the other. Well-written pieces. And it's nice to get that finally. And Mindful here says, I tried. Chris Terrio tried, guys. Ben Affleck tried. Henry Cavill tried. Ray Fisher tried. He tried. Zack Snyder tried. These people tried. They gave their best. And that's why anybody whoever comes at it and is just like, oh, it's trash, it's garbage, I hate Zack Snyder, I hate his works, like, have some constructive criticism.
Yes.
About something.
Like, bring an actual criticism of the film instead of just simply saying like, oh, garbage director. It was like, okay, first off, and then, like, literally when I tweeted out on the anniversary of BVS, I was like, oh, my favorite movie of all time. Someone commented saying, what? I question your taste in movies. This is the worst movie of all time. And I was like, have you seen the live action Where the Wild Things Are?
You keep bringing that up.
I do bring it up because it's my least favorite movie of all time. And it was my least favorite theater experience. But that just goes to show there's always a worse movie out there than something you dislike. So to say the hyperbole statement of it's the worst movie of all time, it's just not factually correct in the slightest, not even close by a long shot. Because again, it's a miracle these movies turn out to be as quality as they did, despite, in spite of the studio that would want these movies to be successful. They work for me and a lot of fans out there.
It's sad. MX Bravo says, Enosh, as a sequel fan, do you feel the dialogue in The Rise of Skywalker was superior to the previous two installments? So as much as I'm a bigger fan of The Last Jedi, I do feel that like the dialogue in The Rise of Skywalker is really great. But you got the Emperor. So when you're writing for the Emperor, it's just, yeah, there's a lot more. There's a lot. It feels like there's just a lot more. When I look at those movies, Dawson, it feels like there's a lot more romance almost in The Rise of Skywalker than some of the other ones. It's not just straight ahead. Drabwalker Luke here says, I actually watched Justice League earlier today and then watched the black and white version of Zack's Justice League for the first time. Good on you, man. Says, nice. But Justice League and Zack's Justice League is chalk and cheese. That's Drabwalker is from Australia, so that's a cool I don't know, saying maybe that I'm not familiar with, but you know what? I know you didn't give a super chat, but I got a drop for you nonetheless.
No way. Is that really cheese? I love cheese. You know cheese comes from fish? I did not know that. Did you know that? Definitely does.
I don't know about that, but
I definitely don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know about that either, but you know. Let's see. H Barts with another $5 super chat here says, I'm going to buy Warner Brothers tomorrow and give Zack his job back. give him his place in that movie, man. Give him his movie back, and let's do it. Let's do it, man. Let's do it. I'm right there with the H Barts. I fully support that idea. I second that motion for sure. Well, man, I'll tell you what, like you said, one great article after another. Human instrumentally here says, bro, what? That movie gets hella love where the wild things are.
Not for me.
That almost sounded like Kermit.
Not for me.
That sounded less like Kermit than you're just Kermit.
Somehow.
By the way, I have to complain. Tiffany and I were watching The Masked Singer the other day, and it turns out that the snail was Kermit the Frog. Doesn't sound anything like Kermit the Frog. Sounded like Kermit the Frog with a cold. It's like, hey, Kermit the Frog here. I was like, what the heck? I don't get that, man. It's like, come on.
Yeah, Kermit the Frog here.
Come on, Disney. You got one job. Come on, get it right.
Come on.
Barcy here, who says, who do you think will come out next? I'm guessing Ben.
Ben wouldn't surprise me. Because, again, he's one of the ones that was, besides Ray Fisher, I feel like he was one of the ones that got hit the hardest as far as actors is concerned. You know, because, again, pull out of rehab for reshoots as far as I understand, and just completely had his dream movie taken away from him. He wanted to play Batman. One has Batman movie that was taken away. It wasn't some decision based off of his health. It was just them canceling it because they were freaking out.
Yep.
And then he was made to walk that company line and, kind of deceive people for a while. And that's just how it went. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he's the next one.
I say, screw that. Screw that. I don't want any of that. I don't want any more towing the company line, man. Like, give it to him. Give it to him, buddy.
Yeah.
Let's see. MX Bravo says, I did too, talking about the sequel trilogy. I did too. Clearly felt Terrio's signature writing always profound. Whoops, for sure. And then it keeps jumping around on me. Enosh, who do you think the 80s was a great why do you think the 80s was a great decade for sci-fi? And did you see the trailer for the documentary In Search of Tomorrow about 80s sci-fi? So I didn't see that documentary, but I think it was just because it was a decade where technology was meeting story and old school. I mean, there was a lot of great stories that came out, a lot of original movies that came out during that time, and the technology was being born. The technology was being worked. They were having to work hard in the studios to try to make things happen to match these stories. And so I think that's a good reason why H Bart says that was Kermit's cousin Hermit. Is that
yeah, Kermit?
Yeah,
what's up, Kermit?
Is that like Jat Marbo?
Jat Marbo.
Jat Marbo. Yes. Drabwalker says chalk and cheese must be an Aussie saying. I guess. What about I'm not pissing down your back and telling you it's raining? Thank you.
I actually like that one. That's a good one.
Like pissing on my back and pissing down your back and telling you it's raining. Heck yeah. But I like I said, I'm really glad that we're getting these articles now, Dawson, and getting some answers and realizing this whole time we weren't alone, man. If we were upset about things, it looks like these guys were even more upset and they had to keep their mouths shut. So even more of a reference to know that if we don't hear anything right now, right away about Zack Snyder's Justice League or I should say the SnyderVerse continuing, give it time.
Yeah.
Let things transpire, man.
And I mean, it shows you that, like you just said, people are also frustrated behind the scenes. No one's just like sitting there and be like, this is fine. Like that meme of that person just in a burning house. That's not what they're like. And I love the title of this article. Chris Terrio is pissed off.
Yes.
Like, you couldn't have thought of a more fitting title. It gets right to the point, and it just says exactly what the article expresses. Chris Terrio pissed off about the way he as a writer was falsely slandered due to the incompetence of the studio that butchered his work. And it's great.
You know what? My favorite Ben Affleck movie that's not a DC movie. I do like Argo. I think Argo is really good. If I'm being fully transparent, I actually really, really like Daredevil. I know that's controversial, but I do.
I haven't seen it in a long time. I need to go back and watch it. I do remember I haven't seen it in a long time, so bear with me, but I remember really liking his Pearl Harbor movie.
Really?
I remember really liking it, but then again, I'd have to go and rewatch it. It's been a long time. It might have just been the whole like World War II aspect of it. But again, haven't seen it in a long time. I do remember enjoying Daredevil as a kid. Wasn't necessarily my favorite. I'm trying to think. I saw Argo a long time ago. It was really good. But yeah, anyway.
That's good stuff. Good stuff. What's up, William? Good to see you in the chat. For sure. William's a great guy. Always love William coming in. Yeah, a lot of people actually, more people. M. Daniel says Daredevil director's cut was good.
I've heard that, but I haven't been able to see it yet, unfortunately.
I like Daredevil too. Enosh says Music Man, awesome. Steven says, yup. Michael Clark Duncan. Oh, you want to hear something cool? So you remember that place, Dawson, that we were talking about where that not dark side Steppenwolf action figure that talked was, right?
Yeah, Second and Charles.
They had the full on movie theater, like huge wall side poster thing for Kingpin from Michael Clark Duncan.
Wow.
For like $100. I was like, oh,
that's tempting.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, Michael Clark Duncan as Kingpin was awesome casting.
Yeah, rest in peace, man.
Yes, a lot of people in the chat right now loving. That's awesome. I'm really glad that you guys liked that because I always felt like I was alone. Drav Walker liked it. I don't know. It was just I guess it's something just for me that I just I really connected with it because I didn't really know much about Daredevil, to be quite honest with you, and so I didn't go with any preconceived notions about what it should be. I just went in and enjoyed it, and I kind of dug it. Now Elektra was horrible,
terrible, very bad.
The Terrence stamp too. That sucks. How bad do you have to have a movie suck with that? I think one of the last questions we could take tonight, Dawson. Tell us why you think that the SnyderVerse will be restored.
Well, at this point, to me, it becomes more and more inevitable as you get more people speaking out about the way the studio reacted before. It's no longer a secret. It's no longer something that, honestly, it's at the point where the studio doesn't even have to admit their wrongdoing. It's playing it out there. The people are talking about it. And so, I mean, you can have it on HBO Max. I've been saying that for a while, and a lot of the people are saying that as well. And I mean, Zack Snyder wants to do it. He keeps saying that there's hope. And if Zack Snyder's saying there's hope, then gosh dang it, I feel like there's always hope for that. So
absolutely. I'm right there with you. And as well, I just think it's a matter of time. And for a lot of the people that I've talked to, they feel like it's just a matter of time as well. So that's why I've just been telling you guys, stay the course, keep it up, use the hashtag. What's up, Joey?
Hey, what's up, Joey?
He says that light at the end of the tunnel, that's not heaven, that's the C train. One of the coolest lines from a comic book movie. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. Yep. And then there's hope. And there's hope. So we just got to keep hope alive, guys. We just have to just keep going. And just don't give up. Don't give up. Remember, use the hashtag restore the SnyderVerse. Use it responsibly. Don't just spam people with it. Don't put it in places that it's inappropriate to put. But you know what? If we come together and we do this in a positive way, I think that we will definitely see the SnyderVerse restored. Look, there was a time when we were told that Zack Snyder's Justice League didn't exist. That it was a crazy thought, even a figment of our imagination.
Imagination.
And imagine this. We're here now. We've seen it. We've experienced it. It's real. And now we're saying, hey, you can't just stop here. You got to give us the full picture.
You have the general audience now, something you didn't have before.
Exactly. What a difference a few years can make, man. What a difference. So what's up, Arctic Conquest? Conquest. I'll get it right. Conquest. Arctic Conquest goes back quite a while with the channel. So good to see you.
What's up?
Yes, Mindful. The age of heroes has indeed come again. Well, thank you guys for being here on this episode where we looked at this. I thought it was an important article to really dive into and take a look at, and especially after Ray Fisher's article this week and him dropping bombs and reaffirming things and verifying things that we've heard and thought and everything. And now we I don't believe that, Matt. I don't believe that at all. I said it earlier, and I think that a lot of you guys are, and I'm kind of surprised that Matt Jarbo is in that camp. I get that I get that you're being realistic, okay, and I don't fault you for that. But streaming, there's plenty of money involved. when I hear about the amounts of money that they're dropping, Dawson, on TV series and TV shows and
like Netflix just bought the rights for Knives Out 2 and 3 for $480 million.
And you're going to tell me that they can't figure out a way to make a lower cost version of Justice League 2 and 3 as a back-to-back series and get it done?
I mean, it all depends on the budget situation, but
Yeah.
Warner Brothers and Warner Media did just free up 2 whole films worth of budget by canceling New Gods and The Trench.
There's something. Well, but even more so reason for me, Matt, because it look, and Matt, like I was arguing a lot of this stuff back in December because I had a mindset about how that was going to work. But now I'm looking at the way that they're coming in with money from various sources and things. Yeah, I really feel I don't think that Zach's going to have to co-finance anything, and I don't believe he will either. So yeah, but you know what, HBO Max is getting there, and listen, it's all about investment. It's about return on investment, and if they feel like they can make money, they will make the investment to get back the reward. So there you go. But hey, guys, I always love having you all in here for sure. Matt in the chat and Matt in the chat. And thanks to Firewater, who joined us first thing here tonight. And thanks to Nerdy, who showed up. Thank you, Dawson. So good to see you, man.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
Yeah, man. And to talk about this and just continue these conversations about these things as we see more and more articles coming about. And I can't wait to see what more things come about and are things that are verified and bombs that are dropped. And always so good. You are welcome, Black Ops. You are absolutely welcome. And so are you, Kenneth, and everyone who enjoys the streams. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you, Mindful. And thank you, Drabwalker. Thank you to everyone who is here in the chat. Appreciate each and every one of you. And Dawson, I'm sure people probably already know where to find you, but where can they find you?
Well, you can find me on my YouTube channel, Nerdy in Many Ways. I'll actually be doing a Q&A live stream tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. after I get done with work. Not my normal job. It's the broadcasting job. I have to commentate a football game tomorrow. And you'll see me with less hair tomorrow. I'm actually getting my hair cut for the first time in months. So there we go. Something to look forward to. You don't really ever see it anyway with my hat, so it's not like, Anyway, but yeah, channel Nerdy Many Ways, Twitter and Instagram at NIMW32, which is just simply, Nimwa32. Vero at Dawson Weidrich, and you can find me on Facebook at the Nerdy Many Ways Facebook page. And yeah, thanks again for having me, man. It was a blast.
Awesome. Absolutely. And thank you. Thank you so much for the compliments. We definitely appreciate it. Yes, Black Ops, that is more than a 70-minute read, so I don't think Mecha Random would have been able to read it. We'll be back next week with 2 Cents on Nonsense. This week, Johnny Pop was not feeling so well, so and this dropped, and so I felt like I wanted to talk about this. Thank you guys who gave me an extra half hour so that I could get some important things done and before coming in. So appreciate y'all. Appreciate your patience and your love, and I appreciate you, because you know what? This fandom is amazing. This fandom is so great, and you guys prove every day that you are not just the typical fandom. You're not just you're not some toxic, fandom that certain people want to portray you and me out to be. We care about something. We're fighting for something positive. We're not just cursing the darkness and something that we say we don't like. We're fighting for something good. And we always have been. And as Zach said about the Snyder Cut, if nobody got to see his movie, he said, the fact that the fans came together for something positive like they have means the world to him. And if nobody ever saw his movie, he'd be happy with that. I feel the same way about the SnyderVerse, Dawson, is, you know what? When we're talking about the SnyderVerse and restoring the SnyderVerse, look, the money stuff, look, if all that stuff can be worked out, the money issue, the actors, all this stuff, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. but you guys still come together every day and you make a difference. I mean, you guys made a difference just a little over a week ago here on this very channel and raised $1,300 for suicide prevention. I'm glad to be a part of you, and I'm glad that you're a part of us, and we are truly a nerd family. And so thank you for all that you guys do. And thank you for just, for being awesome. And thank you guys for supporting this channel, because you guys have made this thing so much fun to do on a daily basis. All right. Remember what I always say: don't let somebody tell you that your fandom doesn't matter, and don't tell them that their fandom doesn't matter, but seek to have conversations and seek to come together and find answers. All right. And most importantly, because sometimes you're not going to find those answers, and sometimes things aren't going to be so clear, and sometimes things are going to be challenging, but at least treat everybody with respect. And if you do that, you'll always have a place here at the Poindexter Lounge. Until next time, for Dawson, for Firewater, and for the rest of the nerd crew, love you. Stay tuned. Don't forget, next week is Justice Con. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Lots of great things are going to be coming out for Justice Con. Did you see some of the stuff, Dawson, this week, like announced for Justice Con?
Yeah, great guests, and they also just announced some of the art for it as well from Why Not Stuff, which is amazing.
Heck yeah. Great stuff. So guys, I'm just saying, keep your eyes open this weekend. Be a lot more stuff. All right. So love you guys. Thank you guys so much for stopping by the lounge. We'll see you next time. Stay nerdy.